my god, Tronjan's gonna shut him down. It's a double kill for Jim.
Oh my god, Jim!
Looking pretty good. It's gonna be a triple kill. Jim comes on fire. Jim comes on fire.
Angle, but couldn't land the shot. Starts up the two-piece. Oh my God!
Cada equipo ahí contesta trató de darle ese respetazo ahí, consigue una pelota y rápido se voltea y se
destaque na marotagem, belo ângulo dele. For him, he's gonna be able to take out. Oh my god! Oh no! He was down to 1 second on the clock. Já pegou bala na cara do Master. O Almairinho vai tentando fazer o primeiro. Vai tentar o tiro porrada e bomba! Vem! Clutch muito difícil de vencer, mas...
Square on the body that you hit. He no-scope for a follow right there. He no-scope.
queda solamente positivo por parte de repente consigue la primera baja que es se da cuenta que no se
Do we have
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry. Welcome. We are back with Mobile Mayhem. The quarterfinals and semifinals are here. We're joined by Day, and we have a very full day of action for you guys ahead of us. Some, I would say, probably the most competitive season of North American Mobile Mayhem that we potentially have ever had. Really, at this point, no real idea who's going to come out on top, or really even who's going to go to the finals. So we'll take a look at the matchups for tonight real quick, as obviously we got a long night ahead of us, especially with those last two matchups being best of 5. Zygnus versus Seminole for the first matchup, and 11T versus Mayhem for the second one. So obviously all 6 of these teams have had a really long journey here. Definitely some mix-ups. Not really sure who to anticipate coming out on top in really any of these matchups. We'll take a look at the standings just to give you guys an idea of how each of these teams finished out the season. Zygnus did find a way to edge out Mayhem in that the number 4 spot. So we are going to have Mayhem in the 5th spot. They'll be going up against 11T. Tribe did 2-0 Mayhem, as I believe, if I was told correctly, Zim played for Mayhem in their matchup up against Tribe.
That is correct.
Zygnus going up against Seminole. Both of those teams not quite up to what we were expecting from them this season. Obviously, you got to give the edge to Zygnus in the matchup, but Day, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the first 2 matchups of the night.
Sorry, just put a bite of candy in my mouth, but I definitely think Zygnus versus Seminole is one that I think obviously could go either way. Obviously, you were right there to say this might be the first Mobile Mayhem where you don't know who's going to the finals, and I absolutely agree, because both of these teams have obviously had their fair share of struggles, right? Zygnus not looking like as hot of a team as we're used to seeing out of them. Still very, very strong. Obviously, they made it here to the quarterfinals, and it could all change here today. Obviously, you know, we're getting to the final days where money's on the line, and you'd fully expect them to put their best effort forward. Seminole started off pretty rough. Got some coaching from Tribe, more specifically Bolu, and have looked pretty solid ever since. So I feel like that may be a little bit of a prime direction from Bolu, as well as Seminole starting to take it a little bit more seriously now that we're at the end of the season, and again, money's on the line. I feel like they have a big chance of winning here if Zygnus doesn't bring their A game. And then looking at our second matchup, we're looking at 11T versus Mayhem, and while Mayhem have certainly had their struggles throughout the season, they've also had their peaks. We saw them down early on in the season. That was largely due to, you know, they played a game and lost, then they had a bye, so they were down in the standings early on. But they bounced back quickly from there and have been looking really solid. And they have a tough competitor, though. 11T have looked really good all season long, so that one could also go either way. It just depends on who shows up today and who doesn't.
Yeah, I think both these matchups are going to be super fun to watch. We will take a look at the maps and bans before we hop into this one. It is going to be standoff hardpoint for game number 1. Zygnus banning Crossfire, Seminole banning Hackney Yard. Those have pretty much become the 2 standard bans in Mobile Mayhem. Annihilator and Sparrow ban, so probably going to be a whole lot of kinetic armor in play, especially given that that is usually one of the 2 bans that you naturally expect alongside the Annihilator. We do have Summit, Search, and Destroy for game number 2, and if we go to a game 3, Takeoff Domination, where usually you just have absolutely no idea what to expect. So overall, excited for this map pool. It's definitely going to be a fast-paced one, especially with 2 relatively small maps like Standoff and Summit for the first couple matchups. Looking at all that, is there any one team that you would give the edge to in this matchup?
One thing I do gotta say, specifically on those operator bans, as you mentioned, is the 11T versus Mayhem matchup. There's no Annihilator band, and that is huge for Mayhem.
Yep.
We, time and time again, have seen Tectonic pull out the Annihilator and squad wipe teams. Boom, 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 6 for 6, take them down. Also, the kinetic armor and the TAC 5 are banned due to the champs ruling. So, yes.
Wait, then what did they ban if they didn't ban the Annihilator?
We have Crossfire Annihilator ban, or Crossfire Annihilator for Zygnus, Hackney Yard Sparrow for Seminole,
for the Mayhem,
and then for 11T, it's Takeoff Sparrow and Mayhem banned Summit Death Machine.
Wow. So, wow.
This is a strategy that Mayhem have brought to the table several times against teams in the past, where if they have that second ban and the other team didn't ban the Annihilator, they 9 times out of 10 let it through. So, coming through strong on that one. That'll be a big impact in the in our second matchup, but does look like we're spawning on into the first. It's going to be Zygnus versus Seminole. And just so everybody knows, Faf on the side of Zygnus is Kimwax. He's playing on an alternate account because his main account got banned. So temporarily. But does look like no ping, no party coming through. Gonna get a fresh restart here.
Way of the road. We're gonna let everybody load back in, and we should be good to go momentarily right here. We do have a lot of balance changes, so I'm excited to see what we're gonna have primarily on the table. I think you mentioned. I'm sorry, I'm eating spicy caramel popcorn right now, chat. So I apologize if I get caught up.
It doesn't sound like a great mix. Like I like caramel and I like spicy, but the two together doesn't sound like something super pleasant.
It was well, yeah, and also my lack of ability to handle spice. But anyways, we do have big
That's
balance changes, and especially watching EU, there were a lot of Type 25s in play, and especially with these first two maps being Standoff and Summit. Those are two maps that are primarily short and long range gunfights that you're going to be taking. That's where the buffed Type 25 is really going to shine. So I feel like a pretty good chance that we see a good amount of it. MX9 still very, very viable. It got nerfed from 30 damage down to 25, but 25 damage you can still 4-tap. So in the close range, still an incredibly strong gun, and one that I expect we'll probably still see a few people pulling out, but as expected, we got some Type 25s in play. The M13, I would say probably now a top 2 gun, maybe even a number 1 gun in the game, depending on your play style. We see some QQ9s coming out, which we hadn't seen in a hot minute either, but definitely a lot more variety coming into game 1 than we had seen in previous matchups in Mobile Mayhem. Neither team with a really big foothold. We do see Seminole finally getting some time, but it is going to be Cheto sliding the corner right there. Type 25 in hand, trying to apply some pressure onto the hard point. We got the Shorty getting a big nerf as well. That's something people have been waiting a long time for in the competitive community, and definitely loving the place that this meta is in right now.
Yeah, I definitely got to say the Holger relatively untouched, right? So still going to see a lot of Holger available in the meta, but definitely at least had some big enough changes that we will see other options viable than just MX9, just Holger, just Shorty. So I firmly believe we'll still see Shorty, obviously, but it is at least spiced things up a little bit. We do have a couple Type 25s in play, some M13s in play, some Holger in play, actually all of Zygnus with the Type 25 in hand. Slothy opting for the QQ9, however.
Yeah, it's definitely a viable option. Honestly, with the nerf to the MX9, the two are very similar, so you could really go back and forth as to what the better close range option is. Really comes down to play style and what's easiest for you. The big advantage on the MX9 still being the strafe speed, but Slothy's going to slide that corner, grab spikes, come out, and it's going to be Seminole continuing to stack on that time. And right now, Zygnus just straight up getting outslayed. You can see Kimwax playing on a basically an alt account right now that is Fafasu, for those of you who are wondering. Pretty much everybody going negative with the exception of Tatio. They're going to need players to step up. With this Seminole team building that big of an early lead, Raballo already making the rotation out and trying to see if he can get control here on P3. I don't know if he realizes there's a Zygnus player already over there. It's going to be Kimwax. He's going to be able to win the gunfight. That's going to be a huge one to secure some early time for Zygnus. Absolutely beaming with the Type 25. Got a number of different buffs in the recent update, and with those happening, you're going to see a lot more in the competitive scene and a lot more in ranked as well. As the Type 25. Definitely a very nostalgic weapon, as it was one that was dominant in the first couple seasons of Call of Duty Mobile. But Slothy, with that QQ9 already on 11 kills, leading the way for the entire lobby. Zygnus still able to get some crucial time right here, and it looks like they're going to pull things within distance of being able to pass this Seminole team if they can get some solid control on P4 as well.
Yeah, the difficulty there is definitely going to be that P4 is one of the most difficult hardpoints in the game to break, so we will be keeping our eye out for that, but we do have players on both teams inside of the bakery. Does look like Jez gonna win out on that gunfight, but we do have Just rotating in, and speaking of people leading the lobby, Just with 14 on the board, make it 15, top fragging for the whole lobby here, and gonna get that secure on the P4 rotation for Zygnus, at least momentarily. And Zygnus fighting against the game at this point. Everybody from Seminole was wiped off of P4, and they get a boxes respawn.
Yeah, just a tough spot to be right there. Hex still holding down the objective. A lot of missed shots for Envoy, and you got to be able to find some there. Hex is pulling out the Holger right here, so obviously not as many long angles that you can play on this standoff map, but still making good use of it right there. Vega is one player that coming into the season, a lot of people expected to be an MVP candidate, and has definitely had some great games, but struggling right now at 8 and 15, especially as somebody who mained the MX9 for a long time. Obviously gonna take a little bit more for him to adjust to this new meta. So despite his struggles, his team able to hold their own right now, and Raballo finding a few more right there. Cheto in top of those factory buildings, able to finally find a kill, and right now Zygnus very desperately needs a solid hold here on P1, and it looks like it's not going to come easy. Multiple Seminole players already in place. Tatio not able to hit the shots, and time again it has been Seminole either getting the break or getting those early rotations. Vague trying to find something with that Pred missile. I'm not sure he was able to get any out of it. Death Machine coming out. There's a Goliath in play for Kimwax. They get the shutdown right there, but the Goliath now down to 1 HP. It'll stay alive for the time being, but they need to protect that desperately, as they are currently in dire need of a whole lot of points.
Yeah, they're sitting down about 50 points on the board right now, and Slothy with the QQ9 comes through, finds 3 on the board, and if Zygnus don't get a contest here, it's going to be lights out, and you know the difficulty is they also have to be ready for next, and as you can see, a Goliath coming through for Vague, going to get in on that hill, and I don't think a miracle can save Zygnus at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the return of Prime Slothy or if the QQ9 is that good in the current meta, but wow. What a performance out of Seminole, absolutely shutting down this Zygnus team, and a crucial game 1 win. Obviously, we've talked a lot in the past about the struggles for Seminole in Search and Destroy, especially as it seems like there have been times that they just don't have a real game plan. So obviously, if Cheto is able to come through, hit some of those big snipes, they've got an opportunity to come through and push this to a game number 3. But you got to think there's just a lot of pressure on Cheto coming into this.
Oh, absolutely, especially with, again, him making the transition to phone has looked pretty solid over the past couple weeks, right? Obviously, it was a pretty slow start for him. That's why he wasn't playing with Zygnus last season as far as a competitive team goes. He's made the return, and, you know, overall, the team got out-fragged, right? Except for Just, everybody was negative, at least to a degree. Still put up 12 kills on the board here for the respawn, so hopefully when we transition into the search, that's a place that they're able to capitalize. Obviously, we do have players that can snipe on the side of Seminole, but aside from Jez, we don't really have anybody that stands out like, hey, this person is going to grab a sniper and all game long run a sniper. Because even when we look at Jez, who's a solid sniper for this team, it's not always that we see him with a sniper in hand for Search and Destroy. So that could be a big opportunity for Zygnus to capitalize and start to turn things around. For anybody joining us late, this is going to be a best of 5, guys. So, or wait, is this one best of 3 and then the semis are best of 5?
Yeah, this one's going to be best of 3.
Okay, yeah, I jumped the gun a little bit there. I thought we were semis, but then I remembered we have 4 games tonight. So yeah, this is best of 3. So Zygnus need this Search and Destroy win to keep their hopes alive and push us into that domination.
Yep, it is going to be Search and Destroy on Summit, so obviously that's one of those maps where snipers are not going to be as prevalent. There's not as many angles for the snipers to work, especially compared to your raids and your firing ranges. So honestly, I don't feel like there's any one team that helps that much more, especially given the fact that Cheto hasn't really been all that consistent with the sniper. Not necessarily all that consistent, but he hasn't been a dominant factor for Zygnus throughout the season. So doesn't seem like this is really going to benefit either team all that much. And more than likely, it's going to come down to who has the patience to allow the other team to make some mistakes. Neither of these teams really come to mind as super dominant search and destroy teams. So coming into this, I don't really know what to expect.
I mean, Zygnus, once upon a time, I would have said, you know, hey, these guys are a very strong search and destroy team. But again, this season specifically has just looked pretty rough for them across the board. And they're definitely facing some struggles here today as well. Now, obviously something to keep in mind, guys, these two teams are playing from very, very, very far apart. So that is definitely something you have to consider. And, you know, one of these teams is going to lag. I mean, that's a reality here. So Zygnus, 9 times out of 10, going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage. But still, overall, just a really solid game so far. I hope we see game 3.
Yep. Do appreciate everybody watching as well. Based on the number of viewers that we have right now, there's probably a buttload of raids that I missed out on. So thank you everybody for joining. Keep in mind, this is far from our last matchup of the night. We've got a lot of action ahead of us. So following this, we are going to have 11T versus Mayhem. After that, the winner of Zygnus versus Seminole going to go against Status Quo, who is currently, I believe, #1 in the standings. And Tribe Gaming going to face the winner of 11T versus Mayhem. So potentially a rematch of one of the growing rivalries in North America, that being Mayhem versus Tribe Gaming. Those two have gone back and forth throughout the year in Masters and Stage 4, whatever it be. Obviously, it's a big task ahead of Mayhem if they want to make it there, because this 11T team has been really, really on a roll, and that's something I've heard multiple Mayhem players say as well. They're probably in the best spot that they've been in a long time. So whoever it is, it's not going to be easy if you have to go through 11D.
Yeah, I mean, and that action doesn't stop there, right? Like, we have our 4 games tonight. We have the quarterfinals, we have the semifinals, and then, you know, Thursday we're going to have grand finals, 3rd place matchup. The whole shebang for you guys. So it should be a good one. And the winner of this match has to go on to face, I believe, Status Quo. So I'm not at all envious of either of these teams having to play another match tonight.
Yep. And we've talked about before, Status Quo, kind of a conglomeration of a bunch of different teams in the past, but they have looked really, really good throughout the season. Almost untouchable in the search and destroy. There's just so much search and destroy talent on that roster that all they really have to do is find a way to win one of the respawns, and usually they've got enough slaying power to make it happen. So whoever comes out of this matchup, like you mentioned, not an easy task ahead, but we're hopping on in. The Summit search and destroy is underway. Envoy, bomb in hand, trophies going down. Nobody getting too aggressive on the Seminole side. Absolutely nobody in top control, and they're very content to play this one passive. Raballo maybe taking a little bit of damage from the nade right here, just right on the other side, but they're able to get the information. And Slothy actually pulling out the MSMC, not a gun I expected to see at all. Envoy able to get the trade. Slothy drops. Now a 4v4 right here as Envoy creeps his way through top control. Neither team any information to work with right now. And if Envoy had hit that slide peak correctly, Hax would have been dead, but he accidentally slid into the wall, and as a result, we're still in a 4v4.
Yep, another kill comes through as Jez with the MSMC able to take down Envoy, a really solid gun in the very close range, but we do have a couple refrags coming through by Tatio, and Kimwax going to bring it back to a 2 versus 2. Bomb is down. I'm not necessarily sure if the remaining players of Seminole know that. It doesn't look like they're playing a very defensive position towards that bomb, but definitely going to be a difficult one for Zygnus to recover, especially if Tatio were to get picked off here. You can see Vague and Hax up in the building. Could potentially see him and take him down pretty easily. But Tatio rotates up behind Vague, picks up 1.
And somehow Hex wasn't able to spot him out right there. Oh, he made the rotation. all the way out toward the A site, and now the bomb in the hands of Kimwax is going to go down over on the B site. Hax with a tall task ahead of him. Only got a Holger to work with, and especially given the fact that you would like to one-shot in S&D, not a whole lot of fast killing power right there. You can see Kimwax now making his way to inside control, playing things slow, but at some point he's got to find a way to speed up. Tatio, top control, could potentially have visibility onto Hax, who's slowly making his way down to the B site. Probably going to go for a fake. He's actually not. He's running very low on time, and honestly, I think he's played this too slow at this point, especially with 2 Zygnus players remaining. They're going to be able to find the information at one point or another. Tatio in the top side. Perfectly played by Zygnus. That's going to allow them to take round 1.
Yeah, Zygnus definitely needed that one, obviously, with Seminole coming away with the win in the hard point. That is going to bring it to an uncomfortable position, because not only does Zygnus have to win the search and destroy here, they then have to follow it up and win a domination against a incredibly strong respawn heavy team. So while I do think Zygnus have the advantage in the search and destroy matchup specifically, I don't think that's going to hold for long, and our last match may just be really, really solid. Slothy gets the pick on to Tatio there. And this was a very, very aggressive backside rotation coming out of Seminole. We are going to get a free bomb plant coming out of Zygnus, unless if Jez peeks and gets the kill, but the 1-player advantage in the favor of Seminole, and the time in favor of Zygnus.
And Tatio played that spot so well. If there hadn't been 4 people pushing at one time, I think he probably could have gotten a kill. But either way, a couple Zygnus teammates able to get trades right there. Robalo in the top side has an angle to work with. He's going to get picked off as well. Now it's all on to Vague. Seminole once again just not looking strong in the S&D. He's able to find one, but can't spot Envoy right behind the boxes. Unfortunate timing. Envoy plays it perfectly, peeks out at the right time. Zygnus able to find another round right there, and that's going to give them the 2-0 lead in the exact spot that they want to be, even without Cheto able to find a kill so far. They haven't really needed him to do so, as they've been able to hand both rounds relatively easily. Nade's going to go out right here, still running the sniper, but like we mentioned, not a sniper dominant map, but Vague gets picked early. What a huge opening for Zygnus. Fortunately for Seminole, players able to get those trades, and the shorty, even with the nerf that it got, still strong enough in the close range to pick off Slothy right there. Just like that, 1 Seminole player remains once again.
Yep, and Seminole looking like they're probably about to go down to 2-0 in the search series, but obviously, again, even if they were to lose here, they have that extra chance in the domination to make the comeback, and this team is incredible at respawn. We do have the plant coming through for Tatio right now. Hax is making his rotation over. It'll be interesting to see how Zygnus plays their 3 here, but it is going to be Tatio getting picked off. Nobody in a prime position to really get him covered. Cheto does get spotted up top, takes a couple bullets, but Just is right here. And oh, there's no way. There's no how to. Oh, they both should have pushed. They both should have pushed. Shorty switch, not in time, and Cheto gonna clean things up. Almost a big clutch for Seminole, though.
Honestly, had Hax waited at the bottom of the stairs before he decided to swap to his shorty, probably could have gotten the kill, but because he was mid-swap on the way up the stairs, just too easy for Zygnus to close that one out. And once again, Zygnus playing this to absolute perfection. Robalo yet to find a kill. Hax and Slothy trying to find something, but just too many struggles for too many Seminole players. Hax is going to go ahead and back up right here as he sees the Zygnus players pushing top control. It's going to be Seminole finally with a man advantage right here. They haven't been able to find that throughout the entirety of the game. It's going to be Kimwax with a 2-piece. Absolutely crucial right there. And just like that, control back in play for Zygnus. Tatio finds one onto Hax as well. And now Jez all alone, able to spot Envoy right there, but can't hit the scope in time. And my goodness, is Zygnus looking clean so far in this search and destroy.
Yeah, and again, they need this. This is their lifeline here. We're still in best of 3 format, so the domination will decide who goes on should we make it there. but it's going to be no easy feat for either of these teams. Right now, Zygnus have a pretty substantial lead, and I would say this map is very defense-oriented as far as like a side that has an advantage. So the fact that they have such a lead on the offense almost guarantees them having a chance in that game 3. Now, obviously, Seminole, a great team, could still turn it around. It's not over till it's over. But with first blood coming through for the side of Zygnus, especially with it being on to Vague, one of the stronger players of Seminole, this could possibly be looking like a 5-0, especially with Kimwax taking down Rabalo now, a 5 versus 3. Oh, but Slothy and Jez with a couple refrags.
Absolutely huge right there. Jez gonna be able to pick up the Type 25 as well. Can you? Oh, you can see through there. That's a new angle I'm gonna have to play next time I'm on Summit. Search and destroy. All the way from the back of the map, able to see inside control. Slothy able to find one as well, and that's 3 in a row for the Seminole team. Cheto trying to find the snipe, but Jez is there. Immediately, the trades go through. A huge round for Seminole as they were down 4-0. It looked like things were falling apart again, but bouncing back in a big way. And especially with them switching sides right here, could be a big change of pace. Struggling a good bit on the defensive side, which is usually what we consider to be the strong side in Search and Destroy on Summit. So we'll see if they can make something happen right here. We got Envoy pushed all the way up early, getting a little aggressive right there, and that's going to allow Seminole to take complete control of top side and control center right here. And the position they're pushed up into is definitely going to be beneficial if they can capitalize on it. But just like that, Vague going to get traded, and once again, it was Shadow with a man advantage, but Hex finding the pick onto Envoy. It's finally Shadow hitting the snipe. Hasn't had a whole lot of success this season, but at 5-3, a crucial one there, as well as we now find ourselves in a 2v2, make it a 2v1, make it a 2v0, and Zygnus 1 round away from closing this out and pushing us to a game 3.
Yeah, I mean, it was starting to look like a really big comeback for Seminole that round, but or off of the one that they won, but Zygnus answered back right away. Now, as you mentioned, 1 round away from picking up a victory. And again, they've moved on over towards defense, and Shadow opens up with a clean one onto Slothy. That is pretty huge. Now, Envoy pokes on up, gets taken down by Hax, as we mentioned before. The holder still very, very strong in the meta. Hax picks up another onto Kimwax, but gets taken down from behind by Tatio, but Vague there for the refrag. Now 3 versus 2 in favor of Seminole, and with 1:20 on the clock, bomb in hand of Jez. They have a big opportunity. Jez come through. Was that a 1911 pistol whip I just saw, or was that a Renetti?
That was a Renetti.
Renetti. I was about to be so happy.
I'm sure we'll start to see more of those, especially as people get more used to it. The MW11 with a whole lot of buffs coming this season, so definitely a stronger secondary option, especially with the shorty getting nerfed the way that it did. But it is going to be Seminole staying alive for the time being, is now just getting aggressive on the defense right here, pushed all the way up almost in this corner on the entryway to control center, and picks left and right. Hex is all alone. He's going to be able to find that one onto Just. It's, oh my gosh, it's a 1v1. Everybody died so fast I didn't even realize. Is it Tatio? Tatio chokes the snipes. That's one of the easiest snipes you're ever going to be able to hit. He knows exactly where he is. Now he's got the shorty out. Man, he would have loved to be able to capitalize on that one, especially if we see Seminole come back right here. It could be a painful loss. He gets spotted right there. Hack's taking some shots. Tatio doesn't hear him because of the silencer. Now has the information. Hard scoping with the sniper, and it's not the easy shots that land. It's the tough ones that he hits. Zygnus closes out the final round, and we've got ourselves in the first matchup of the night, a game 3.
Look, here's the thing. Sometimes when you're used to quick scoping, the hard scopes can just
that is 100% factual. There's nothing.
If you watch my Vanguard grind, dude, I'm hitting nasty quick scopes with the car, but man, if I hard scope, it looks bad. It looks like I just picked up a controller for the first time. So I totally get it. Sometimes the easiest ones are the easiest ones to miss as well. So ends up clutching it up at the end anyway. and that's going to be Zygnus pushing us to a game 3 off the 6-2 win.
Yep, that was whew. That was a crazy one. I was not expecting that one to be over as quickly as it was, to be honest, because there is so much talent on this Seminole team, but obviously Zygnus feeling the pressure of the moment and being the team that finished first place for Latin America, kind of a whole lot of weight on them to represent their region. So they come through and have an opportunity now to potentially move on to the semifinals. Like we mentioned, it's not going to be an easy matchup. Status quo, very strong this season. They've managed to put together a lot of talent and have a very real potential of winning this season of Mobile Mayhem. But both of these teams also have a lot of talent. I think a lot of it just comes down to team chemistry and the way that you're able to come through in the clutch moments. Zygnus backs up against the wall, come through, and honestly, it feels like when it comes to the domination games that we've seen throughout the season, most of the time it's not even about who's the better respawn team. The majority of the time it feels like most of what it comes down to is which team is carrying through the majority of the momentum from the search and destroy.
That can definitely be the case, and that's why I think Zygnus have a real chance to make the comeback here, the 3-game reverse sweep happen. But obviously, you know, Seminole, they're not wanting to go down here easy, so definitely have a lot of expectations for them to come through and put on a good show, as well as Zygnus, as you mentioned, might be able to ride the momentum that they had from such a dominant search and destroy win victory as well, that they could come through and pick that one up. Now, Seminole as well, I got a note out there. This is a team that certainly has their struggles with letting themselves get tilted. I jump into VC with them a lot, typically off stream for reasons, but yeah, it's got a lot of potential to go either way, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, that just happens a lot of times with young teams, and obviously this is a team that is primarily underage players, so I know, like you mentioned, they've had some coaching from Bolu throughout the season. Hopefully that's going to give them a chance here as we get ready to hop into takeoff domination, but this is not a domination map that teams really play a whole lot, so like I said before, it really could go either way. Most of it's going to come down to control the high ground and who's able to get the early B caps. That's going to be what we're keeping a close eye on right here. You also do have to keep an eye on some of the score streaks and whether or not anyone's able to streak early and maybe get a Goliath, get a cluster strike, get something that'll allow them to capitalize early on and maybe turn the tides. But at this point, I have no predictions who's going to win. I'm happy that we get to see a game 3 in our first matchup of the night. I'm expecting that Vague's going to have a big performance right here. He hasn't had really a huge performance in either of the first 2 games. Obviously, like I mentioned, MX9 main having to make some adjustments with the nerfs that have happened. But I've got a feeling, especially in a longer range map like Takeoff, I think that M13 usage is going to get a little bit more value than it was able to on a map like Summit or on Standoff.
I would agree. I think there is room to run, you know, maybe one person with a sub just for some of the building control. But largely you are correct. It's going to be your M13, your Holger, your Type 25. Those are going to be the more dominant weapons on this map. I'm actually also interested to see if anybody opens and respawn snipes here. You know, for example, Cheto or Jez, like a first life respawn snipe. Just to see if they can get a valuable pick early on that maybe helps the team capitalize on B. So we will see about that, and yeah, it'll be interesting. I know Tectonic as well earlier was kind of experimenting with the GKS on stream, and there is a possibility that could be a alternative SMG to run. It has a little bit more consistency at range than the QQ9 does, just because it's so incredibly accurate. It's a 4-tap to kill SMG, so really common with the current SMG setup. A 5 past 20 meters, I believe he was saying. So could be a possible one. But Envoy gonna pick up one onto Slothy there, rocking that Type 25 that we mentioned. Pretty strong right now.
Yeah, and he's trying to make the push on through, but Jez right on the outside of the corner right there, able to get the trade on his teammate. No progress on the B for either team right now. Taking a look at some of those pressure points, we do have Hex trying to make his way up into mid-map, able to find a double kill, but it's Tatio over on the C side of things. And both these teams playing very, very slowly, just kind of allowing things to progress right here. Hex going to get spotted out by Tatio, but making his way over toward the other side. And Tatio, I think, trying to bait out a push over toward the C side, nearly gets it out of Vague, who's very low on HP, but as a teammate able to get the backup, it's actually going to be Vague winning the gunfight anyway. And we do see Zygnus getting a little bit of time on the hill right there, a couple shutdowns, but it is primarily Zygnus in the feed right now. And wow, what a start from Cheto, who we don't typically expect to be a huge respawn player. He's got 6 and 2 right now, make it 6 and 3, and just with pretty significant struggles, which, like I said before, we don't usually expect to see, especially given how well he played in the respawn, the only player that did not go negative. But a lot of progress over on B for Zygnus off the start.
Yeah, a lot of progress. Does get cleared out a little bit by the side of Seminole, but not quite enough to bring it back into their favor. So Zygnus, if they get a couple picks, they could swing on in and scoop that up. And again, in domination, it is nice to go into the second half with a bit of a cushion, because the second half, a team is not limited to 75 points, right? You could be down 75 to 21 going into the second half, and you could theoretically make the comeback if you played it right. So that's definitely a big opportunity if they're able to get that cap, but it does look like we have actually a lot of C progress coming through on the side of Zygnus, but can't quite lock it out.
And Tatio played that really well. Basically all he was doing is trying to bait people to challenge him over on the C flag. In the process, he not only got a kill, but also a bunch of progress right there, and that's going to allow them to alleviate some of that mid-map pressure. Zygnus able to get that initial B control, and that's exactly what they needed. This is probably the hardest B cap to take back in any domination map in Call of Duty Mobile Competitive. So for them to be able to do this off the start is absolutely huge. And taking a look at the KDs, they're slaying out once again. Hex really struggling, Rabalo struggling, Vague struggling. I expected him to be one of their top fraggers, but just not able to find a whole lot of momentum. Jez doing everything he possibly can to keep his team in this, and they're able to get some topside control right here. Rabalo finds one, but still only 5 kills this far in. Shut down, a triple in the feed for Zygnus. Things not looking great for Seminole right now. And we do have Jez finding another right there. The M13, so consistent at range. Not going to be able to win the second gunfight. And Vague finally pushing toward the mid-map. It is going to be the AC split right here for Seminole. Not an easy one to maintain. He's actually going for the B progress. Envoy able to get the shutdown just with the trade there as well. Tatio pushing up along that B side, and they're just trying to get something right here. They're trying to make sure they don't lose B in the process. Slothy going to be able to win the top side gunfight right there. Some more progress going in for Seminole. They're seconds away from getting B. And that would have been a crucial 200 points, if nothing else, but not quite able to get it right there as the half ends. And heading into half number 2, Zygnus sitting pretty, especially with pretty much all of their operators ready to go. Literally all of their operators ready to go.
Yeah, Zygnus in a decent spot. They have a 15-point lead. As you mentioned, they do have operators available. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a common thing, right? Teams are going to be saving those operators for a push in the second half. One thing I will make note of that I don't see enough teams capitalize on is that both Jez and Kimwax are running the Tempest. And there are so many times in the past where we have seen Goliaths run rampant because there's not anybody with an operator available or a score streak available to bring it down. And that's not going to be the case in this matchup. If someone gets a Goliath, there's a huge opportunity for it to get shut down immediately. But the AC come through for Zygnus here, and it leaves Seminole without a home flag. They do get the B cap, but now their spawns have been kind of erratic. And they need to try to find something together here. Kimwax gonna toss out the Hunter Killer, especially on this map. That's almost a guaranteed kill, and sure enough, does pick one up. And Zygnus starting to extend their lead. We're not in triple cap territory, but if Seminole don't find some sort of groove here, that could change real quick.
And we see Vague pushing up right above the B flag, but they've got a lot of map control, but they're not getting any points out of it. You can see they finally able to get C back right here, but there's progress down on B. Obviously, you want to hold this map control, but you're really running low on time right here, and you're not leaving a whole lot of room for error. Now Vague's got a solo chow, 2 players over onto C. Tatio's gonna be able to win that gunfight. Gets away. Oh, so close to capturing C right here. Just gonna peek away. Jez gonna win a crucial gunfight right there, make it a 2-piece, and things starting to look doable right here for Seminole. But like we mentioned, there's not a whole lot of room for error. Cheto trying to peek right there. Envoy gonna get picked off, and wow, Jez absolutely beaming with M13 right now and almost single-handedly keeping his team in this game. Cheto shut down, just finally finds the trade, but it's a lot of Seminole in the feed right now, and they're getting closer and closer to tying up this game.
Lost the lead.
Yeah, they're definitely playing through it here well, and I do believe, if I remember correctly, Jez, in another event that I casted over the weekend, was able to drop 41-8 in one game. So, almost able to pull together a nuke, and if my memory serves me correctly, it was in domination as well. So, no surprise to see him starting to frag out a little bit, bring things back. He's top fragging for the team with 22, and get 23 as he gets that other pick onto B. And that is going to save Seminole that B flag a little bit longer as things get closer and closer. It is about 2/3 capped, so Zygnus, if they're able to get a foot on it, they can start to regain control. But Jez is slaying out right now. And Hacks picking up 2 with the Holger as well. And now we're just seconds away from Seminole tying this up and starting to take the lead.
Wow, they have played that so well. The progress back all the way down to 0 over on that B flag. Jez making the push across, and Cheto, who had such a strong start, still close to top frag for his team, but pulling out the shorty, not quite as strong as it was before. He's going to get shut down. Envoy trying to push across, things not looking good right now for Zygnus. They have no progress on any of the flags, and they don't really have any map control either. You can look at the Seminole players, and they already know all they have to do is get that C flag back to win. Can Roballo do it in time? He's the only person over there. He's going to be able to do it, but there's not enough time. Oh my gosh, Zygnus just long enough able to capture that C flag, and somehow they're able to come away with it right there. I didn't even notice that happening. I was so confused for a second, but they played it to perfection.
Yeah, they clutched up where they needed to. They end up winning by 6 points in the domination, and that secures them a spot in their matchup up against, I think they go on to play Status Quo. Let me see if I can double check the standings, but that's not going to be an easy team because Status Quo have been on point all season long. Obviously, they come through with that #1 placement spot, and it's well deserved because they've been looking solid, man.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, my voice has still not recovered from the Hornets game that was on like Sunday night, so I apologize. by the end of tonight, I'm just not going to be able to talk anymore, but man, just crucial end game plays for Zygnus right there. And you got to feel for Jez. 28 and 16 with 5 flag caps just wasn't quite enough to come through with the win. Zygnus going to be able to move on to the semifinals, like you mentioned, going up against Status Quo. I'm watching that back on my screen, and I'm trying to look at where things went wrong for Seminole. You can see they were winning, and then I think it was that final C push at the end. Enough Zygnus players able to get that pressure over there, and since they already had B, they held the AC for long enough.
AC, yeah.
Okay, I understand now. All right. I mean, they played that perfectly, and they're going to be moving on to the semifinals.
I don't know if I'd say they play it perfectly, but they played it good enough.
Perfectly enough to win.
Yeah, definitely an exciting game between these two teams. I'm glad it came down to a game 3, and I'm glad it came down to the last 30 seconds of that game 3 really being the difference makers. So, an exciting way to start off the day, and we do have plenty of opportunity for some more great games tonight. Next, guys, we've got another banger for you. It's 11T versus NYSL Mayhem, and as me and Bobby were mentioning earlier, we've got an Annihilator openly available for 11T and Mayhem to use to the best of their extent. My personal opinion, I think that gives a little bit of an edge to Mayhem for Tectonic and Little B's use with the Annihilator, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and take a look at those maps and bans real quick. It is going to be 11T banning Domination, or not banning Domination. It's been a long week, guys. It's going to be 11T banning Crossfire, Mayhem banning Hackney Yard, with 11T banning... Wait. That says 11T's banned the... Oh, I think the maps and bans are still updating, so we will come back to those whenever they've all been updated right there. I'll just go ahead and read them off. 11T versus Mayhem, so they banned... Wait. Oh, Zygnus banned Crossfire... I'm reading everything wrong. What the? Bans. 11T bans Takeoff and the Sparrow. Mayhem bans Summit and the Death Machine. Those are our bans. I've actually mentioned that Little B, the one S&D map that they don't feel confident on is Summit, so that makes a lot of sense. But given the fact that we don't have bans on either Hackney Yard or on Crossfire, that means if we go to a game 3, there's a whole lot of room for whoever gets strong side comes out with the win. And
11T ban. Oh no, we do have Crossfire S&D. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Crossfire Search and Destroy is actually what we're gonna have. So
yeah. Home of the Little B 1v4 clutch that won Mayhem the game against Tribe.
That is true. It's definitely going to be a fun one to watch. Firing range hard point for game 1. Crossfire S&D for game 2. Standoff domination for game 3. Definitely an unconventional map pool to say the least, with, like we said, 11T banning Takeoff. Now, I'm pretty sure the map bans that are showing are not correct, but we do have bans on the Death Machine and the Sparrow. And really, that's all you need to know.
Yep, and like I said, I think that Annihilator being open benefits Mayhem a little bit. And that is not me at all saying that I think Mayhem have the advantage, because 11T have looked like a more consistent team throughout the season. But we also do know Mayhem does like to hide some of their business, so that could be another factor as well. And what is going on here? Let me try to fix this. Alright, here we go. This should be better.
And it looks like it is going to be the normal starting lineup for NYSL. We got Tectonic, Little B, Nero, and Awaken. Still waiting for the final player, but you would assume that last player probably going to be Space, especially with how consistent he's been recently. And actually, rumors of some teams trying to get the SKS banned primarily because of him. So we'll see what ends up happening over there. But we do have Polan, Jason, Raven, Wiru, and Yuhi coming through for 11T. That's been their go-to starting lineup as well. And Raven switching back from his old name, which I believe was Palmini. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And for those of you who don't know, Jason is formerly Zy. So he had a 20 kill search and destroy against Seminole early in the season. This is going to be a really fun S&D matchup to watch for sure, especially given, if I think back, I think it was the first matchup of the season, or one of the first matchups. It was 11T versus NYSL. And NYSL was up like 5-2 or something, and 11T found a way to come back. So we know there's going to be a search and destroy. That's the one I'm looking forward to most.
Yeah, me too. Especially because earlier in the EU broadcast, which I know you got to stop by for a minute. I saw you in there. But There was a little bit of a debate in the chat at the time of who the best sniper for the western half of the Worlds event's going to be, and I think there were really 3 names that really came up. One of them was Little B, one of them was Zy, and I can't remember who they were talking about most for EU, but obviously there's a bunch of really strong EU snipers. I know Marvel was one. Yeah, I think Marvel was like the main one that I saw reoccurring in chat. And obviously
Zy's
we'll
not playing in Stage 5, is he?
No, but I'm talking about for this matchup.
Oh, okay.
They were just per region saying who the best sniper was, and they said Zy was better than Cheto currently was the comparison. And I agree with that. I do agree with that. So, coming into this matchup, Zy Little B is going to be a big one to watch. Obviously, that's going to be in the search and destroy. But for your respawns in this matchup, you know, I'm really looking at the likes of Tectonic to frag out. I'm looking at the likes of Nero to have really good objective control. And looking over at the side of 11T, you have much more jack of all trades as opposed to this person is a slayer. If I had to pick one respawn slayer for 11T, it's probably going to be Pallone. And if I had to pick one kind of objective anchor, that's hard to say. I'd probably say Raven on that one. Maybe Wiru. But again, 11T much more a jack of all trades lineup than Mayhem has, where you have your players that are filling specific roles. Tectonic going to be your slayer, Little B going to be your sniper, and Nero going to be your main objective. Awaken often going to be that player that's rotating for anchoring spawns in your respawns and things of that nature. So it's kind of an interesting matchup that we have.
Yeah, we got everybody readied up, so we should be good to go hopping into game number 1. Honestly, for me, it feels like for 11T, I think that Wiru is the X factor, not necessarily in that he's the player that needs to top frag, but there's been so many times when we've seen him bottom frag and respawns by a significant margin. I feel like if he's able to come away even or above, 11T's got a really good chance at winning this, and everybody is going to leave the game right here. So we'll go ahead and get that reset. But yeah, there's been a lot of respawns where he's gone double, triple negative, and it's just difficult for the rest of his team to compensate. And it's worth having him on the team because he's so good in search and destroy, but especially in the hard point, he's had a lot of struggles recently. There are occasions where he really pops off, but I feel like if they can get a consistent performance out of him, they've got a really good shot at taking this map 1.
Yeah, I do think that's a really good one to point out there because, again, he has had his struggles in respawn, so if he comes through with a good performance, the rest of the team can realistically play way better around him. So that's a pretty big factor. Yes, Lurker, that was you talking in EU earlier, and I totally agree with you had to say. So yes, there's your shout out, bud. Thanks for coming by and always being a consistent and helpful viewer for Mobile Mayhem. So even a little bit bigger of a shout out than you were probably expecting.
We have somebody in chat saying Zy is the best sniper in NA and LATAM. I mean, this is the matchup where you're really going to see it, because I feel like Little B and Zy are the two players that have made the best case, at least in those two regions, for best sniper. So especially whenever we hop into game number 2, it's on a map that is very sniper heavy. Crossfire, the longest angles of any search and destroy map in Call of Duty Mobile. That's going to be the true opportunity for those two to really battle it out.
Yeah, definitely should be an interesting one, and hopefully we hopefully we do have everybody load up and be ready to go this time. Chat, you can spam start already all you want, but we can't start without players readied up. So, fun fact. But does look like everybody's here this time, and hopefully have all of their issues resolved and we'll be good to go. Nobody's leaving the lobby. Good, that's what we'd like to see. And firing range hardpoint between NYSL Mayhem and Team 11T has begun.
And I was very interested off the start here. I was very much expecting for Nero to be running the Type 25 for a long time. Even when the Type 25 was off meta, he was known as the Type 25 warrior. So I was really thinking he was going to come through and make some plays with the Type 25, but sticking with the Holger, a little bit of a comfort weapon right there. Little B able to find a kill on the backside, trying to find Jason as well. Not winning that gunfight, but not a whole lot to look at on the KD side of things. Wow, Raven absolutely beaming with the Type 25 right there. Unfortunately, trying to challenge two players at once, not an easy task. Awaken going to be forced to back up here as well. 11T getting a whole lot of time here on P1, already up to 23 seconds. Mayhem going to be able to clear them off. Tectonic able to find one, but immediately trade out by Jason. Nearly finds himself a three-piece, but Nero finally able to come through with the kill right there. Mayhem, tiny bit of scrap time, but they need to immediately make that push for P2. Raven slides on through and gets some early kills and allows his team to get that early rotation for P2.
Definitely looking to be a pretty big start for 11T as they have those P2 rotations available, as well as the P2 spawns going to be really solid for P3. So if they're able to hold and maintain this, they're going to be in a great spot as we move over to trailer. And it has to be the one thing I dislike about firing range is in hardpoint, the first three hardpoints, you're pretty comfortable having those P2 American spawns just the whole time.
Yep, we see Space with that SKS trying to make his way on through, but he's going to get picked by Yuhi right there. He's got 7 kills on the board, and right now, majority of the slaying power going the way of 11T. Seeing those Type 25s come out, Space, even in the close range, able to win that gunfight with that SKS, but wow. What a start right here for 11T as they have now a 70-point lead through those first 2 hard points, and they got players already pushed out, trying to get control for P3 as well. A big gunfight win for Nero, but it's still going to be 11D on the point. Wins another one right there, pre-fires through the doorway, and the gravity spike's not gonna land. It's Weru able to dodge right there. Everything going the way of 11T right now. He's got a hunter killer, he's got an annihilator, and right now it seems like the only thing that can potentially save, oh, the annihilator for Palan. Jason with the Holger of 4 feet, and absolutely nothing going the way of Mayhem. 11T completely dominating this map. They get mowed down on the way through the doorway, and it looks like this could be a pretty quick game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, this one's rough. This one's really rough because I was expecting this to be a much closer matchup, and well, it's not over until it's over. My goodness, 11T are absolutely running the board right now.
Yeah, this has definitely not been a pretty one to watch.
Yeah, got a couple points come through at the trail end of trailer there, but man, still just not great for Mayhem. It does feel like they've opted for a very similar strategy that they employ during like Hackney Yard, where if you don't have spawns for P1 or P2, just try not to get rolled and you can make it come back in P3, P4. Gonna be honest, dude, I kind of got rolled on the P1, P2, and the P3, and now they do have a really solid P4 coming, and not a whole lot of time that they can cushion, especially with P1 coming up, where 11T has a lot of opportunities. Oh my god! Oh, Nero, you gotta win that one. Came up behind Palone with the Holger and just couldn't win the gunfight, but somehow Mayhem able to hang on to spawns for P4 here.
And one thing you got to keep an eye on, Awaken is on full streaks right now. He's going to go ahead, call in the Goliath. If he can stay alive right here, it's a huge opportunity for a Mayhem, especially if they can keep it alive. He's going to go ahead and hop in. Doesn't even get his sentry gun called in yet.
Someone's got to take that sentry gun out of the top of tin, though.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be him with that task. Immediately destroys it right there. Sees Palon on the inside of trailer. Really, all the pressure's on him. If they're going to be able to win this game, it's going to be on his back. Immediately shut down right there. And that was the one remaining hope for Mayhem. So one thing we talked about a lot, their biggest struggle is the way they come out at the start of hard points and so many times they come out slow. That was 100% the case right there. 11T capitalized in a big way in a dominant win in game number 1.
Yeah, definitely a rough position for Mayhem to be in, but we know this is a search and destroy team as well as 11T. So I expect we'll have a better search and destroy than we did in the Zygnus versus Seminole matchup. But again, we've already seen it once tonight. We've seen the hard point go one way and the search and destroy go another. So if Mayhem are able to clutch up here, we could still see that game 3. Maybe they have a little bit more of an opportunity in that final matchup of the night, but search and destroy and 11T stand between them.
Yeah, that was just a rough one, and we saw Awaken go on that big spree, but even with that spree happening, like, he had a spree big enough to get a Goliath, still ended at 11 and 13, so they've just got to find more right there, and most of it comes down to the, usually it's the P1, like we say, it's the way they play the first couple of hard points, but usually it's getting themselves in a hole in P1 that results in them losing P2, results in them losing P3, and by the time they finally find the rhythm, they're already down by 100 points, and there's just no way when you have that little room for error that you're going to be able to make a comeback. So they've got a tall task ahead, especially with how solid this 11T team is in search and destroy. It is going to be Crossfire, and this is the map, like you mentioned, where they made their big comeback against Tribe in Stage 4, so we know they know how to play it. It's not one we see a whole lot in Mobile Mayhem. Is this one that we've seen 11T play at all as of recently?
Not really. This map has been banned. This map and Hackney Yard have been banned more than any other maps all season long. Positive.
Yeah, those have been the go-to bans, especially just because both of those maps are so bad for domination. So it's not really too surprising, but obviously with the bans that we have, a little bit unusual, but Mayhem definitely needs to come through big here if they're going to have a chance at the game 3. And like we mentioned, usually game 3 results are typically dependent on who has the momentum coming out of game number 2. And we saw that very much be the case, as even though Zygnus lost game number 1, they found themselves with back-to-back wins. Mayhem's got an opportunity, but they got to capitalize, and they definitely got to come out hotter than they did in that game number 1.
Yeah, exactly. And again, search and destroy could be a big opportunity for them, but we've got that really, really stout sniper lineup that we're going to be looking at between Zy and Lil B. So definitely a lot of potential there, but not one that is just set in stone, right? NYSL, they could make the comeback, they could push us into that game 3, but just as easily they could flop. They could drop the search and destroy here, and they could be down and out. And obviously, that's not really any sort of diss against them or anything. That's more of a 11T again. Just have looked like a more consistent team all season long, and this is an opportunity for Mayhem to come out and prove that they're still the best that NA has for search and destroy.
Yeah, you can see Nero looking to go ahead and get in position right here. Actually got the PP19 in play. Not what I expected to see in the hands of Nero, but it will lurk all the way up toward Dumpster right here. And this is something we've seen Mayhem. They haven't changed it up a whole lot just because they've been able to do it so well, but Awaken able to get that early pressure up. Instead of using the Holger this time, he's got the MX9 in hand, able to get that information. And right now it's a waiting game. They know that they don't need to apply any pressure. The pressure's really on 11T, and especially with Little B finding that opening pick, that puts even more pressure on, especially with the bomb carrier in a little bit of a precarious position. Palan gonna throw down the trophy right here, trying to make his way up into the site, but it's actually going to be Space going for the wall bang right here. Awaken's going to be able to find the frag. Bomb's not going to go down. Trades Nero with the nade over top. It's going to be Mayhem now with a 3-man advantage. Little B, always the X factor for Mayhem in the search and destroy. He's going to find Raven there as well. 3-piece off the start, a very good sign for them.
Yeah, definitely a great start, and this is how it started with Zygnus as well, finding one round after another. They ended up putting themselves in a 4v1 and eventually a 6-2, if I remember correctly, for the search. So, we'll have to see if history repeats itself in that sense. You have Nero pushing up very, very aggressive. Might be able to find Zai if he peeks this corner here, but you can see he's playing his life, playing very, very cautious. The smokes are out. Tac sniper in hand, gonna pick up one to Pallone. Oh, Nero took the shots a little too early. Would have liked to see a little bit more trigger control there. Maybe that's a secure kill, rotating up behind Yuhi instead of just popping him with 2 bullets that only brought him down to half. And now, with first blood in favor of Mayhem, they still kind of control the pace of the game.
And right now, Wiru has to sit back and hope that his snipers can find a pick. Jason hasn't been able to find one yet. Nade's going to go across and gets a hit marker, but it's Little B once again. Finds Wiru. And definitely not in the usual angle that you'll find him either. It's finally going to be Jason trading out Nero right there. But still a 2-man advantage. Awaken finds another 5-0 for Little B off the start. The Search and Destroy X Factor, and that's one of the reasons he's considered to be one of the best snipers, if not the best sniper in the region. Now all the pressure onto Jason right here to try to find that 4-piece. See if he can maybe pull a Little B himself. Little B knows the angle he needs to play. He's going to go ahead and peek right there. It's going to be another free kill for Little B. 6-0 off the start.
Enemy has dropped the bomb. Bomb spotted. Destroy the objective.
And it's going to be 11T picking up the bomb once again. Pallone now with the bomb in hand. Looked like they were maybe going to throw a different look, maybe pick a push toward that A site, but they're going to stick with the usual. And now it's Tectonic with the first blood. You got 2 players, honestly 3 players that can snipe like that. Space isn't even filling that role for them.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Space is one that we've seen in the past pull out sniper and, you know, be the lead of his team. And we don't even see him do that anymore. But if we know if Little B dropped, Space is right there, can pick that sniper up and have that effect. So right now, Mayhem just absolutely leading on through. You know, coming through with first blood every round has been really, really solid for them in maintaining kind of an authority in the match. But Wiru gonna get a refrag onto Tectonic. But man, with Little B being 6-0 at the end of 2 rounds, dude, if 11T don't stop him, this could be really rough for them quick.
And unfortunately for 11T, they did not realize Awaken was at the bottom of the stairs. Wiru gonna be able to make the flank. Actually finds a 2-piece right there. That's exactly what they needed, but Little B still in play, so you can never feel too confident. Jason was playing that right angle, but doesn't see the cross, and that could actually be costly. Now it's going to be Nero able to make his way over there, and he's going to be, at the very least, able to give information on where players are. Here's the sniper. Jason trying to find the shot. He's able to do it. Little B now forced into a 1v3 right here. Got the Renetti, got the sniper, and trying to find a miracle right here. Only 22 seconds to work with. Can't hit Jason. That's going to give them the information, and now probably not enough time for him to make it work. Pallone hits the beams over top of the car. Crucial round goes in for 11T right there as they finally find a way to bounce back, and they played that one very, very well. Where, as expected, top fragging for the team. They need to see more out of Yuhi and Raven. And you cannot give Little B a free kill like that. We're crossing mid with no smoke. I'm not really sure what the game plan was right there.
Yeah, and I was just getting ready to say, we do need to see a little bit more out of Jason, too, because every single round it's been Tech or Little B opening up with a first blood, and that continues to be the case. But finally, Zai able to find some sort of groove, takes down Little B. Not enough to tie things up as far as player lives goes, but does bring it a little bit closer, as well as does take out one of the most potent sniper talents in North America from this round. Obviously, we still got Tectonic, and like I said, dude, if Space walks up and picks that sniper up, you've got a whole nother threat to work with, so we will have to see. NYSL do have the player advantage, and we do not have a bomb plant coming out of 11T yet. Did you catch that one?
That was a perfect bait from Awaken. Knew that he was going to be able to get him to peek into that corner, and Tectonic was just waiting for it. Could not have played that any better. That was the thing of beauty from Mayhem, and now they find themselves two-man advantage once again. Raven's got the bomb in hand, but they just don't have any angles. Jason gonna find the pick onto Nero, and that's gonna be absolutely massive. Nobody going to be peeking. One thing that a lot of people haven't noticed in this recent update, lasers from sites are a lot more visible. Tectonic going to be able to find Raven right there.
Oh.
And he finds the two-piece. One wasn't enough for him. Now 3-1 for Mayhem right there. That's going to be a thing that a lot of snipers are going to have to reconsider. Is it worth it? Getting that extra, what is it, 1.53% ADS speed in exchange for a whole lot of visibility on the sniper. Right now, the two snipers for Mayhem, Tectonic and Little B, combining 12 and 3 so far, completely dominating the competition. And 11D's really got to find a way to eliminate that, but Little B says not quite yet.
I would just like to point out that we are 4 rounds in where Little B has found first blood, and one of them was Tectonic, and Little B in that round found the second kill. So someone has got to do something about him. Obviously, able to come through with one onto Jason is huge there. A couple players taking shots. Weir's going to find one onto Awaken that ties things up 3-3 with player lives. Oh, what's that? Ooh, Fennec from Yuhi.
And Space a little bit delayed on the SKS shots through the wall, so he's going to be forced to back up right here. If he had gone to his normal spot, probably would have found a wall bang onto Palan right there, but he's forced to wait for Nero, who has no idea where Yuhi is right now. He's got the QQ9 in hand, and not to go ahead, reposition up to the top side. They've really just got to play the waiting game. Nero trying to find Palan, but that's a mean head glitch to try to take somebody off of. Now Space has probably let a little bit too much time go by. Gonna be able to find one onto Yuhi. Weir's right there, plays it perfectly. Another big round going in for 11T, but now it's gonna be Mayhem over on the offensive side, and that allows you to dictate the pace of the game a little bit more. Could potentially go their way, but could very well be that 11T finds a way to counter.
Yeah, definitely could be, and as we switch sides, it does give maybe Zy an opportunity to get some opening picks here, but largely I do think this map is pretty heavily doable for the offensive side, so we will have to see, but a very aggressive rotation coming out of you. He's going to pick up Tectonic out of the top main sniper building.
Yeah,
and that gives a lot of opportunity over to 11T right now.
Yeah, and I don't really know how Mayhem had nobody getting information right there, but he's pretty content to just sit over on that side and try to see if he can find information. Doesn't want to challenge any unnecessary angles, and he's gonna be able to see Little B right there, so trying to cook the nade, see if maybe he can get a kill. Gonna go in, not quite able to get the hit marker, and Little B backs up, but things not looking great for Mayhem right here. We got Nero with the bomb in hand, but they have no real knowledge of where 11T is, no map control, and a need to plant the bomb. They really need for their snipers to push up. That smoke gonna go down and allow Nero to try to plant, but players just getting picked left and right. Weru 1 HP, still able to stay alive, and he's going to be able to find the pick right there. Now all the pressure onto Little B, and the snipes not quite hitting like they did against Tribe. Now we're tied up at 3-3.
Yeah, that was a really rough round for Mayhem. The fact that Yuhi was able to make a rotation behind not 1, not 2, but 3 players unnoticed is kind of unheard of. And that needs to be a little bit more of a divided task for the side of Mayhem, you know, because again, there's no reason that someone should be able to push up to tech in the building position that he was in last round. And fortunately for them, Space, Sniper in hand, going to pick up one onto Yuhi there. Does open first blood for them, gives them a little bit more of an opportunity. You see Zy also set up in a position where he's looking for anybody to cross by that green car. Even if he doesn't get the shot, he's going to get that information. As you saw right there, at Nero start to make that pass rotation. Good trigger discipline, wasn't ready for the shot, but he's going to get that call out to his team, and maybe they can capitalize on it.
And it looks like the bomb's going to go down. Jason's not looking over toward that B site, so no real way to contest it right now. And now a lot of pressure on, especially with the need to find 5 kills. Where he's going to drop bombs down. Not a whole lot of time to work with. None of the angles that Zy's looking at able to find anybody, and they're just getting picked left and right. Now he's in a 1v5, trying to find something right there, but Awaken going to shut things down. That was a 5-0 round, and exactly what Mayhem needed, able to counter those aggressive defensive pushes from 11T. And it feels like Yuhi's the player that we got to watch off the start, making those crazy aggressive defensive pushes. We saw the first side go into that left side of the map. Second side tried to make the right side push, but got picked by a sniper. And he's going to make a complete change right here. He's going from Fennec over to a sniper, and he's now content to sit way in the back of the map, and it's going to be the battle of the snipers.
Yeah, and we have had more and more snipers join the fray ever since this game started. Jason going to find one on the Little B. That's a great pick. Yuhi gets a hit marker onto space. Another one of those players we saw pick up a sniper for this lineup, even though having not started on it. But now, bomb plant's going to come through. Player lives in favor of 11T, but it is going to be time in favor of Mayhem. And with Tectonic up in the top of the building, and with Awaken playing the position that he's in, could be a real opportunity for them to bring things back. Awaken picks up one onto Palone. Yuhi making the rotation from behind.
And now the pressure's really on for Nero, but he's not able to win that gunfight, and that's probably going to cost them the round. Bomb's going to get defused with 2 Mayhem players still alive. I'm just wondering if that bomb plant was the right decision right there, especially with how spread out their team was and how many 11D players were alive. 11D played that to perfection once again, and a lot of opportunities where Mayhem players could have potentially picked Jason, but he was just able to get the better of them in the gunfights. Smoke's going to go over top once again, and this is a very, very unorthodox S&D map just because it forces players to be so campy, take so many long-range sniper angles. I don't think that's the nade that Jason meant to throw right there, but he's got the angle to work with, and bomb gonna go down once again.
Yuhi.
Nero's gonna get picked by Yuhi, and the strategy that Mayhem's been accustomed to just not working out right now against this 11T team.
Yeah, and 11T is another one of those teams that we really, really know for their search and destroy prowess, and it's coming out here in a big way. Yuhi wasn't having a ton of luck. He did have that one really solid round with the Fennec, but, you know, 5 rounds in, finding 3 kills, not the most ideal. He's picked up the sniper and really brought it back, and now Little B finds a refrag onto Zy, gonna bring things to a 4 versus 4. And bomb is down, and you certainly have to expect 11T knows that, since Yuhi was able to get that pick on Nero while he was planting. And this is just such a great angle that Yuhi's playing right now.
Yeah, especially with most of those smokes getting used up for Mayhem, not a whole lot of opportunities. It looks like Tectonic's found the perfect spot where he doesn't get prone blocked right there. So Palon pushing up, but not in time to be able to get Tech off of the bomb site, and now the pressure's back onto 11D. He's going to sit back, play this nice and passive, and Wiru in the position to make the play, but the nade going to drop right onto his head. I think that might have... No, it didn't hit him, so they're not going to get any information from it, but... Little B. Oh, Tectonic on the inside of the angle. Gonna be able to win the gunfight. Awaken traded out right there. Space hits a snipe. All the pressure on for Palon. He's in a 1v3. 14 seconds. Doesn't seem too terribly doable. Little B missing shots. Oh, and he finds a 2-piece right there, but either way, I don't think he's got enough time to get in toward the bomb, so Tectonic gonna lose the gunfight, but it's not enough. Palon, a whole lot of kills, but can't find the round. And now it's going to be Mayhem back in control with the opportunity to push this to game 3.
1 round to go. We might still see a domination between these teams. And like you said before, often teams come into the domination with at least a better performance than maybe would have originally been expected out of them based on them coming off that momentum from a search and destroy win. So we'll have to see if that plays a factor, because that first hard point was all 11D control all the time. So Mayhem might need a little bit more than momentum, but space. SKS in hand, gonna pick up one on Yuhi. Palone making a rotation, or was starting to, ends up turning back. Does have the Type 25 out.
Ooh, and
Oh my
Wiru's...
goodness. Raven and Wiru.
Oh, they're both Tectonic doesn't want to make the peek. He knows it's not worth it. It's too risky of an angle to play. They know exactly where they need to look. Little B gonna find Polan right there. Nade goes over top. Weir's just trying to stay alive right now. I don't know how he made it out of there. Raven's still by his side as well. But Mayhem got complete map control right here, and really all the pressure onto Raven or onto Jason to find a pick as his two teammates completely pinned back.
Yeah, I mean, I switched over to Plone just in time for him to hear Space running up top of the building. He turned around thinking it was someone rotating underneath, but man, it just wasn't there. He immediately got decked by Tectonic and Space with a two-piece there at the end. Gonna close things out, and both of our quarterfinals games have now gone officially to Game 3. Mayhem pull things together in the 6-4 victory over the side of 11T. Not as convincing as the Zygnus versus Seminole matchup earlier, but again, they might be able to ride that momentum and come through with a Game 3 win. And obviously it's going to be up to 11T to show that they're not going to take a defeat in Search too much to heart, and they're going to just play their domination to the best of their ability.
Yep. Little B comes through big right there. Space only had 6 kills, but it felt like all 6 of his kills were really crucial ones, especially him playing that top X position and those really, really solid kills toward the end right there, just being an absolute nuisance. Played very much a similar role that Awaken played in Stage 4 that we talked about, not necessarily getting a lot of kills, but getting a lot of information, and definitely playing a really solid role in this Mayhem team's ability to push this to a game number 3. It is going to be domination on standoff, and I know that is one map where Space loves to use that SKS, so he's going to be another player to watch out for. I'm going to let you take it as I run to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, sounds like a plan, man. But coming through that game, obviously, it was all eyes on Little B, chat. Came through 13 kills on the board. Throughout the first 6 rounds, he had 5 of the first bloods, which really is what helped one of the things that helped his team most carry on through to victory. As Bobby mentioned, Space may have only had 6 kills on the board, but the timing that he was able to pick up those kills in were pretty crucial coming through. Nero down at 2, but I mean, I'm gonna be honest here. He got picked a lot trying to plant the bomb for the team, so a bit understandable. Look over at the side of 11T, and we have a lot of really good faces having a good performance here as well. Wiru, absolutely no shock. 10 kills on the board. He's kind of the Search backbone of this 11T team. Yes, they can win without him, but my God, this dude is cracked in Search. Jason coming through with 6, so half of what the opposing sniper had in just Little B, and then even -1 on top of that. Not to mention you had Tectonic also bringing to the table with 8 with that sniper position as well. And it was a little bit too much for 11T to deal with. And as we can see, Raven, only 1 kill on the board, so leaves a little bit more to be desired. Hopefully a couple of these players that struggled in the Search will have a much better domination. And hopefully it'll be as close as our first matchup, because that's what I'm really here for tonight, is the excitement.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's gonna be a long night. We're almost 2 hours in, and we still have 2 best-of-5s ahead of us. So,
to be fair, your watch hours are going.
My watch hours are through the freaking roof right now. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a good night of COD Mobile. Obviously, we do have standoff domination ahead of us, and then following that, we're gonna have Zygnus versus Status Quo, and Tribe playing the winner of this matchup. Usually we say whoever carries the momentum from the game of Search and Destroy going to take the domination, but off of that one, it didn't feel like Mayhem has too much momentum for the most part. 11T able to keep it close, so I feel like really this one could go either way, and majority of it is going to come down to map control. I would give probably a slight edge to Mayhem just because of how effective Space is able to be with that SKS, and it's not so much about the hot start in domination as it is getting into those map control positions. And I've gone up against Space with the SKS before, and he's just really difficult to take out in those top control buildings. Let's see if 11T can do it as we get ready to hop in to the final game of this matchup, but we still got 2 best-of-5s ahead of us.
Yeah, that's in addition to this game 3, and let alone any of those going to game 5 could really extend the night out. But thank you all for coming through and joining us and showing your support for each of these teams. Getting ready to get fired off into the domination versus with NYSL Mayhem versus 11T. And this is the matchup that's going to decide all of the marbles for the teams going on into the semifinals. Does look like we were just getting a lobby host change there for you guys, so we should get you guys into it here shortly. Of course, it's going to be casted by me and Bobby. And, man, this has been one hell of a season, Bobby. I mean, this has been a crazy good season. If you look at last season, we didn't have as many game 3s last season as we did in the first 2 weeks of this season, and all the way down to the wire. It was teams fighting for those number 6 spots that all of our 6 teams, any one of them could come away with the victory.
Yeah.
The number 1 victory here. So I think you hit it spot on the head with that tweet earlier. And my goodness, man, tonight's matches are coming through and proving to be as good as we hoped.
Yeah, I mean, usually it feels like it comes down to chance whether or not we're going to actually have game 3s, but the fact that we've had it in both matchups and we're only in the quarterfinals, I think just goes to show how competitive these matchups have been so far. So we do have Mayhem over on blue side off the start, and top of that building is probably where Space is going to want to be. He's actually making the push over toward Tractor right now. Trophy's going to go ahead and go down. Nero going to get first blooded by that nade, and some damage going in onto Space. Couple big early kills for this 11T team. Pilon pushing through bottom of Grandma's right there, and they've got a whole lot of map control. Players pushed up on both sides, and especially with Jason finding a 2-piece, we're finding another right there. Probably going to see this early push over to B, absolutely obliterating every Mayhem player that contests. And off the start, things not looking good for Mayhem.
Yeah, not at all, but Awaken does come through with 1 onto Palone there. Maybe they can find a little bit of room to breathe, but it does look like the AC comes through for Mayhem, but A quickly going back over to the side of 11T. And now 11T maintain a 2 position. Cap, oh, Awaken, you saw his head. Oh no, gets taken down by Palone on statue. And 11T bouncing back big from that search and destroy loss, not letting off the gas one bit here. And in fact, Raven coming through with a 2-piece, still using the MX9.
I mean, the gunfight.
GKS from Tech, let's go. GKS Tech is back.
I don't know if we should be encouraging that with Tech at 1 and 4 right now. Mayhem just getting completely slayed out right here. Weru 8 kills on the board, trying to make it 9 on to Nero on the inside of that building. He's on a 4 spree, pretty close to a 100 killer, and right now just none of the gunfights go in the way of Mayhem. And you see them finding 1, maybe 2. Little B finds Palone, but they've got absolutely no map control right now. And what they need for Space is for him to get into some map control positions. But you got Yuhi already on the inside of a Goliath. Honestly, if you're Mayhem, you're just glad that he used it in the first half. But right now, it seems like they're playing for second half. A little bit surprised that 11T called it in that early on, especially with the map control that they have right now. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of reason for them to call that in, but we'll see if it ends up paying off in the end. Is finally Palon gonna get shut down right there.
Yeah, it does look like Top Tech has opted to switch on over to the TP19 Bison. Definitely something we see a couple players using here, but the only thing I can really think of for Yuhi calling in that Goliath in the first half is honestly just to maintain control over B for as long as possible, extend their lead, and then maybe on top of that, sheer confidence in getting another one in the second half with the way that they have been playing. So we'll have to see. That was a pretty quick round 1 with the B cap coming through so early. It is a 33-point gap for NYSL to make up here, but absolutely doable. Obviously, second half, you're not limited to 75 points, so shouldn't have a problem if they're able to play the second half right, but if they don't, the here, move it on to the semis.
Yeah, and the one thing, oh my gosh, and they did not play that start well. Yuhi gets 2 free kills, gets a major assist right there as well, making his way towards some score streaks. And once again, the map control is all toward 11T right here. Just so many players in this mid-map position. Yuhi with 11 on the board, and they immediately get the B cap once again, just winning every possible gunfight right here. And I mean, the scoreboard tells most of it. Little B 4-15, Nero 6-13. Just nobody remotely close to going positive if you're Mayhem. And 11D capitalizing at every turn. You got Yuhi on 13-2 right now. He's got a 7.5 KD, shutting down everything in sight. Jason gets a 3-piece right there with the Annihilator, finally going to get shut down by Little B. And you got to think, him with the Annihilator in hand might have been their one shot, but he's going to get shut down as well. And we're nearly at triple cap territory already. Nero going to find one right there, but it's going to take an absolute miracle push for this Mayhem team to come away with a win.
Yeah, definitely coming through with a strong performance on the side of 11T, and we're in triple cap territory at this point. The Annihilators did not come through as strong as maybe they had hoped, and unless of a miracle happens, honestly, this is just 11T going on to the finals to face off against Tribe, who did come in that number 2 spot. So Tech finishing off with another kill, making a double. The B cap looking like it's going to come through, but Yuhi with another Goliath. They are able to stop the B cap, and Bobby, I think this one's over.
Yeah, that Goliath's going to pretty much chalk it right there. Yuhi going to take a little bit of damage, but they're able to take B all the way back down, and just nothing going the way. And Mayhem finally winning some gunfights, but it seems like too little too late right there, making their push up toward B, but just not looking for this tractor player. In space, still not going to turn around. He should have that information, but it's going to be another free kill for Weru. We don't usually expect to be dominant in the respawns. We go in double positive. So is Raven. Mayhem's going to finally pick up B right there, but it's Weru now pushing through to the C side. They can pull off a miracle right here, but it just doesn't seem like they have the time. And actually a cluster strike coming in for space. I don't know when that had time to come through. They get the triple cap for the time being, but still not winning many of those gunfights. This would be the crazy comeback I'd ever seen, with 146-94 being the score. If you're gonna hold off a triple cap for that long, wait, what?
Awaken saved it.
Oh,
this is still doable.
Raven's over there with an Annihilator. Yeah. Wait, he got knocked out too. Okay, and now we have.
What on earth is happening right now?
Oh no, they get C.
Yep.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and that's the thing.
That looks good for a hot minute.
That's the thing for Mayhem.
Oh.
They've got to find a way to not come out like they're walking in mud in the respawns. It happened in the hard point. It happened in the search. I think, did Space just call in another cluster strike?
Yeah.
And I mean, it goes to show they can do it, but I don't know what happened.
If they would have got that C cap again, and then the cluster comes in, they maybe win. Because everybody on 11T was C side. There wasn't a single player near B. There wasn't a single player near A. In a cluster strike alone, that's like 15 seconds of, hey, you guys can't touch this point.
Yeah.
But they couldn't quite get the cap through in time. Tech slid onto point, got some progress, but got taken down by the 2 11T players that were hanging out in the top of 2-story. And they do come through with the win. So, guys, that's going to be 11T moving on to face Tribe. Another big rematch in the almost 3-way trifecta that we had from Thursday last week. But obviously, NYSL last week, not playing with their full roster, didn't make that a possibility. But, man, what a game coming through between these two teams. The triple cap, almost possible for NYSL Mayhem, but just couldn't hold on long enough. Streaks came in a little bit late, and man, Raven may be MVP of the team here with 27 kills on the board. But dude, Yuhi was so dominant despite only having 17 kills. He was a huge, huge factor in that domination.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of the way through that, 11T just looked completely in control. There was a second where the streaks for space stacked up enough where they were able to get something, but that seems to be the primary issue for this Mayhem team. They do not come out strong the majority of the time in the respawns, and if they can find a way to do that, they've got potential to win against anybody. But there's so many times where they just come out flat, and it showed big time right there. Little B -15, Nero -11. Rest of the players able to make up some of the gap, but especially whenever you allow it to go on that long in the matchup, just don't really have much of a chance. So that is going to let us move on to our semifinal matchups. First one is going to be Status Quo versus Zygnus. Who you got in this one?
Status Quo have been a team all season long that was absolutely mad cracked. They were playing solid, and Zygnus, you know me, Bobby. I'm a pretty big Zygnus fan, right? Like, I love Tatio. I love the boys over there at Zygnus. Cheto, I'm glad to see him back. I don't think they've been consistent enough this season to take down Status Quo. So my money, if I was a betting man, would be on Status Quo all the way. Wouldn't think twice about it.
Yep. It's I mean, yeah. The one thing, I don't know. It's just going to be tough to take out. I think if you are Zygnus, the one thing that you have going your way is Status Quo. The search and destroy, if they're going to get a second one, isn't going to be until the last matchup. So I think you got to find a way to win it in the respawns right here. Trying to beat them in 2 search and destroys just doesn't seem like a really feasible task. So I think the main thing that they've really got to focus on is winning the respawns. That's going to start with game number 1 in the hard point. We'll take a look at the maps and bans real quick. We do have Status Quo banning the Annihilator and Standoff. Wasn't expecting that. Zygnus banning Crossfire and the Sparrow. So I believe you said Kinetic and Tag 5 are banned, right?
Correct. That is the official ruling for Stage 5. So in order to give teams their best opportunity to get extra practice in, specifically the ones that are going on to Worlds, we have adapted the rule set to match that likeness. So probably going to see a lot of death machines on board, but 2 really, I think, overlooked ones are going to be your gravity spikes, as well as the equalizers are very punishing if used correctly. But as well, we got to take into fact that quite often we see Status Quo run the gravity vortex as well. So we might see Blur pull that one out. He's maybe the one player that I've ever actually seen use the gravity vortex correctly. So that could be a very punishing factor as well for the respawn, so we'll have to see. There's a message for you in the NA broadcast, by the way.
All right, looking at NA broadcast. Yes, we're gonna take a break real quick. I don't know if our next match thing does actually show up. So we are gonna pull that up. I'm gonna throw on some music and we are gonna take a break for a second while we get ready to hop into our next matchup. right, everybody, welcome back. We're getting ready to hop into our semifinals right here. As you saw just now, we got Status Quo versus Zygnus. Interesting substitution. One player that we really haven't seen for the majority of the season for Status Quo is going to be Asta in play. So that means Washi not in, at least for the first game of this matchup. Day, how do you think this affects both teams coming into this?
We've seen Asta in and out for the team. I think one of the biggest factors is that they have Jingo today. Obviously, there was a pretty sizable portion of the season where he was on the bench, but he's a big factor. So, looking at the lineup, I say that Status Quo have probably just as much faith left in me as I had when I talked about them last. You know, they are just a team that has been very, very consistent all season long, no matter what starting roster they bring to the table, and that is a big factor on why they came in first. Zygnus did not. So, I've got a lot of hopes in Status Quo. I would love to see Zygnus come through and at least push this later on into the series than just a 3-0. I don't have a favorite to really win or lose. I don't have a preference in this one. I've got friends on both sides of the tables here. So I just want to see a good game come through, and whoever wins, wins.
Yep, should definitely be a good one. You got to think the absence of Washi probably going to be felt most in the Search and Destroy. So I don't anticipate that it's going to have enough of an impact to where this team really struggles in the Search and Destroy, and I feel like the addition of Asta maybe gives them a little bit more of an edge in the respawns. We will have to wait and see, though. Ingenic, definitely a player to keep an eye on for, as he has improved a lot and has been a really big factor for them this season. We are going to be playing best of 5, just a reminder. So for those of you who didn't see it before, we do have Summit Hardpoint, Hackney Yard, Search and Destroy, Takeoff Domination. Then we got back-to-back firing ranges if it goes to a game 4 and 5, with it being firing range Hardpoint and firing range Search and Destroy. Bans on the Annihilator and the Sparrow. It's waiting for our players to ready up, and we should be good to hop into game number 1.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Again, I don't have a preference on who comes through with the victory here. I'd love to see a game 5, but again, just raw facts on the way Status Quo have played all season. I think it does give them a pretty sizable edge in this lineup, and it's going to be a tough fight for Zygnus, but Zygnus absolutely could come through and make it happen. Obviously, Zygnus, a repeat Mobile Mayhem winner for both North America as well as the Latin American region, and you can never count them out until they're out.
Yep. We got everybody good to go. Summit Hardpoint. There was P1 and P2. Going to be relatively easy to chain depending on the momentum you're able to get. And we actually see Solo with the MSMC out. Once again, not one that I really expected to see, but with the recent buffs and nerfs, anything is possible. We are underway as both teams looking to make that push on in to the initial point. Solo, it's actually going to be the Diamond Fennec in hand, and actually plays that hop up to perfection. Finds one, but the concussion egg going to slow him down. Not able to find 2. Cheto there for the trade, and wow, hitting absolute beams with the Type 25 in hand. Strong start for Zygnus right here, as they have top control. Not going to be able to get the 2-piece right there. Does get the major assist. Couple players still shut down on the bottom side. Zygnus continues to tick upward. It's going to be Envoy on a 3, as he's trying to play for some streaks right now, and definitely some big plays coming in as well for Kimwex, aka Fafisu. And right now, Envoy's on 8 and 1. Zygnus completely slaying out here on P1.
Yeah, but with that, Solo and Jingo each come through with a 2-piece, make it a 3 for Jingo. It might be an opportunity for them to recoup some points. You can see Zygnus starting to make the rotations on over towards P2, but so are Status Quo, and my goodness, Cheto, you've got to win that one. Fortunately, we have just there for the refrag on the Solo, and it does look like an early break for Zygnus here on P2. Asta here for the contest, but it's not ideally gonna last for long. Why is Asta alive? Thank you, NY, my goodness. Asta was alive in a 1v4 way longer than he needed to be.
Yep, Zygnus still maintaining that lead. We see Blur. I know the AMAX is the gun that he's stuck with for a while, is trying to perfect, but a combination of that getting nerfed and the fact that this is just not a good map for that gun. That's not a gun for a map that you're gonna play a lot of tight angles. He's 2 and 7 right there. He finds another one, puts himself at 3 and 7, but gets shut down for 3 and 8. Zygnus just playing this to absolute perfection. Kimwex on 10 already. He's got a 100 killer ready to go. Blur gonna get spotted out right there as well. He's finally at the range where maybe that can work, and Solo is gonna slide the corner to win a crucial gunfight right there. Fennec in hand, and that's a gun that hasn't been as relevant in recent seasons, but especially with the MX9 nerf, could potentially see some more plays with it. He's gonna be able to find a big one right there, and now Status Quo finally in a position to get a little bit of time.
Yeah, and we were talking a bit about operators earlier, and I think this is a good time to go ahead and put out there just a few differences that we have. We've got basically Death Machine across the board, except Kimwax has a Tempest, Solo rocking the equalizers, which I think is really solid for this map because P3 and P4 are so incredibly close range. And Blur is coming through with that grab vortex, as we mentioned. Everybody else rocking a Death Machine, so we'll be expecting to see some of these outside operators get used for more benefit than they could have got with a raw killing power of the Death Machine. And with a solid P3 for the side of Status Quo, they're now starting to make that rotation over, and while they played it quite well, they didn't win their gunfights against Tatio and Kimwax in the backside of P4, and Zygnus are going to get some favorable respawns, and yep, gonna call it right there, Blur, that was not the right time to use the Gravity Vortex. So he's gonna lose that one, and now Zygnus looking really solid. See, now, the Gravity Vortex would have been an ideal one to drop in the middle of this P4. Maybe you suck up a couple kills, maybe you deny the area for a little bit. Instead, launched a shot into the back of the spawn, looking for a one-player pick to maybe grab spawns. You're going to be better off with Death Machine in that kind of case. So,
We've taken the lead.
didn't quite work out, and now Zygnus tie things up and start taking the lead.
Yeah, Zygnus just picking players left and right, and Blur is still sticking with that AMAX. This is not working. 9 and 15. You look at Envoy, man's having the game of his life. He's triple positive. He's 25 and 9 right here. He is just absolutely dominating the entire map. He's one of those players where sometimes he'll have a bad game, sometimes a mediocre game, but when he pops off, he pops the freak off. He's gonna get shut down by Solo right there. But Zygnus able to bounce back from the strong P3 from this Status Quo team, and just like that, we watch Blur and he finds 3 in a row right there. So talking about how he needs to switch away from the AMAX, but he's got something else to say about it. Envoy still on his streak, able to trade out right there to Tio, calling in the Pred and trying to contest, but there's a whole lot of Status Quo players on the point. He's going to shut down a Death Machine. That's going to be a huge contribution for Zygnus. Nobody on the point right here. Just finds a 2-piece. That buff type 25 feeling really good for a whole lot of these players. Blur capitalized on the one-tap ability from the AMAX, but not enough to make a push on through. Asta finds a crucial 2-piece, but the point still going to be contested, and it is going to be Tatio coming out on top to pick up the scrap time for Zygnus.
Hardpoint contested.
Yeah, and I gotta say, man, Envoy is having one hell of a game. You know, Blur, you can talk crap all you want about the AMAX, but homie just switched to an MW11 and outgunned Tatio. I'm gonna take that as a dub. That's that is what I like to see. Did have a Goliath get called in. It does look like Zygnus have swarmed it well enough that they are going to go ahead and get on in.
Whoa!
But my goodness, coming through, absolutely roasting it. Jingo, Death Machine in hand. Much better use of the grab vortex by Blur there. Cut off the rotation of 2 Zygnus players. Want his team time to get into position, but doesn't matter. Tatio with the Death Machine in hand, going to roast him down. And it does look like Zygnus get the rebreak, and there's enough time on the hill for them to have for them to win. So this is a must contest for the side of Status Quo. Blur coming through, not quite able to find the bullets to connect for the second and third kill. And again, different gun in your hand, maybe that scenario goes a little bit different. He does have 18 kills on the board, so he's not like bottom fragging for the lobby or anything, but you just feel like he could have got a lot more done with a different weapon. And Zygnus open up the gate, riding the momentum from earlier, picking up game number 1.
And we said if Zygnus gonna win this matchup, they need to capitalize in the respawns. They 100% did that there. Very much on the backs of Envoy and Kimwex, aka Fafasu. 36 kills in a summit, and he had a minute 19 on the hill. That man did it all. He was everything his team needed him to be. I mean, if you look, oh man, Jingo's had a good season, but 12 and 26 just not going to make the cut. Overall, Zygnus just looked like the better team right there, and you got to wonder whether or not Washi's available, and especially at this point in the game, if they want to make the substitution to guarantee that they can get the win in the search and destroys. DiMariana gonna get subbed in, I believe, for Zygnus, or no, that is Washi, right? Yeah,
yes.
DiMariana
Yes.
is Washi, so it looks like they were looking to keep him out for the respawn and keep him in for both of the SNDs. But that means Status Quo's got to win both of the SNDs and a respawn right here. Do you feel like they can do it in the domination, or do they need to make a way to make it happen in hardpoint?
Well, it's hard to say. Obviously, we talked a little bit earlier, teams often can ride that momentum from a search and destroy win into the domination. And definitely thinking that search and destroy is probably going to be a bit more in favor of Status Quo. That's been their strongest suit. But, man, Zygnus have a way of showing up when it counts the most. And that was a big hardpoint win for them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, like, the hardpoint win for Zygnus doesn't carry quite as much weight as it does for Status Quo, just because we feel so confident in Status Quo's ability to win in the search and destroy, especially with Washi substituting in. Didn't feel like Awesome made enough of a difference there anyway for it to put them over the edge to win the hardpoint. So if you're Zygnus, you just got to play your game and win the respawns. I feel like at this point there's a lot more pressure, not just a little bit more pressure, but with the way that one played out, Zygnus was in control all the way through. It feels like it's going to be really, really tough for the Status Quo team to find a win in a respawn.
Yeah, we are just waiting on one player from each team to get readied up, and we'll get into the action. Obviously, like I said, I expect Status Quo, especially with the pickup of Washi, to come through here with the victory. But as we move into the domination, it's going to be a balance of what team just plays the domination better. You could have a bit of a groove from the search and destroy, like we mentioned earlier, but could definitely go either way. And Zygnus have not really shown up in an impressive way to me all season until they played off against Seminole here today. I mean, that's about the most coordinated we've seen them be all season long. The hard point was really solid. The dom was really solid. The search was very, very convincing in their victory. But again, Status Quo, if we were talking about best search and destroy teams in North America, I probably got Status Quo and Mayhem tied right now.
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. They're going to go ahead and load in. And the one thing that I will say that gives Zygnus hope right here, Hackney Yard Search and Destroy is one that you can play very one-sided and force a lot of close range encounters, minimize the impact of snipers if you play it over on the A site. We do see Just, the only player, going to make the push over toward B, and he's going to go ahead and get challenged. He's going to win the gunfight. He takes out Solo right there. That's a huge start for this Zygnus team, and Janet going to be able to find Kimwex, but Envoy with the trade. Tatio finds one as well, and now it's all on to Washi and Jingo. And then just like that, it's all on to Washi. He's going to find one right there, finds two. I don't know how he hit Cheto off of that head glitch, but he's got himself a 1v4 possibility. Nade in hand, bomb goes down. Time's ticking, only 30 seconds to work with. Tio sitting back in spawn. He gets the audio cue of the sniper and should have some type of an idea where to look, but Tio's gonna back way up. He sees the laser right there. He has no idea though. Tio plays it perfectly, finds the opening kill, and that's a huge round one for Zygnus.
Has Zygnus opening up with a strong round of search and destroy, obviously riding the hype from that hard point, and definitely gotta hope that Status Quo turn things around. It's not often that you have a team who underperformed so much all season long come through and take down the most consistent team in the league. So it would be wild to see Zygnus come through and win this, especially if it was like a 3-0 victory or something like that. So we will have to see, but as I was kind of mentioning earlier, obviously with the score line for our standings being so heavily in favor of Status Quo, you'd expect them to be having a much better game than they are right now. This is a team that's in first place for the seasonal standings with 160 points against a team that's still up there, 120, but struggled through a majority of the season. I mean, Status Quo have been in first for a good chunk, and Zygnus, for a while there, we're starting to look like if they were even going to come in the top 6.
Yep, 2 rounds in, we got 3 players for Status Quo. They have no kills. Zygnus looking phenomenal right here, even with Ingenic landing the thumper shot right there. It's Washi all alone, and he's only got 1 HP to work with. They have been getting absolutely picked apart and just lacking any type of confidence here on Hackney Yard, and I don't know what it is. Maybe they haven't practiced it, or maybe they're just completely out of rhythm. But Zygnus completely dominating the search and destroy, and we figured it was going to be tough for them to find 1 search and destroy win, let alone dominate like they are right now. Tio with 4, nobody in the negative, just going to get picked off the start, but still 2 Status Quo players gonna drop, and it's still gonna be Zygnus with the man advantage.
Yeah, Zygnus have the advantage once again, and I gotta say, this is the most consistent and coordinated we've seen Zygnus come through all season. Obviously, they've been able to pick up their wins, but they just haven't been as convincing of a team to me as we've seen from them in previous seasons. And part of that could just be because of how competitive this particular season was. I mean, again, if you look at last season, we knew who was going to be in the finals. Simple as that. Blur going to pick up 1 onto Cheto, does bring things into a 1 versus 2. Washi might have a sense that Envoy is there. Not able to find the shots to connect, and Envoy going to pick that one up. Shorty, not as strong as it once was. Maybe start switching that out for a real gun like an MW11 or something there. But
Oh, Day, the MW11 fanatic. But honestly, he's got a point. Right now, Zygnus just, smoking them. Yeah, what, 3 players with a 4+ KD? Finally, a couple players shut off the start, and it's going to be Status Quo finally countering the aggression of Zygnus right here. Pays off big time. Solo's got a red dot MSMC. What am I looking at right now? He's yet to find a kill, and especially for search and destroy, that's just not something that we're accustomed to seeing. Just and Cheto left alive. Cheto not having a bad game, but he's gonna go ahead and miss right there. Nearly turned and found the kill with the shorty, but like you mentioned, pretty big nerf. Just gonna find the opener right there. Still needs 3 more though, 4 kills on the board. Now making the rotation through bottom side. There's somebody watching it right now. Jingo gonna be able to land some shots. You get the information. Smoke goes down, but still with the bomb down on the inside of that building. Not a whole lot of options. It's gonna be Washi landing the snipe. And the first round finally gonna go in for Status Quo as we're 5 rounds in.
Yeah, well needed for them, and it's not going to be a long bounce back, man. I mean, Zygnus have a pretty substantial lead right now, 4-1. It means we don't have any room at all for the side of Status Quo to make mistakes. Oh my goodness, dude. Washi picking that kid off the tank. Absolutely nuts. Finds Tatio as well. 2 in the feed for him. Jingo with a kill on Just. Solo comes through with the plant. Now Cheto left at a 1 versus 4. Finds Jingo, but you just gotta wonder how far can he really take this one. And he's gonna rotate right into the scope of Washi. 7 kills on the board for him. Status quo starting to look alive.
And it seems like the switch over to the offensive side is exactly what status quo needed. And it seems almost like their 1-round win over on the defensive side could be the game changer right here. The defensive team looking weak for the most part, and as I say that, Zygnus gets completely shut down. So it's gonna be Tatio shut down on the top side, Just all alone. Bomb goes down, Jingo hits the shots. Status quo absolutely full force here on the offense, and Zygnus with no real type of counter. There wasn't just 2 rounds in a row, but 2 easy rounds in a row for this status quo team, and maybe Zygnus starting to second guess the lead that they had built up.
Yeah, definitely been a very interesting game. Washi comes through with 2 off the bat, but Just and Faf, they refrag out for 2. Gonna bring things a little bit more doable, as it's starting to be a lead for the side of Zygnus. Just taking a couple shots, but does spit out some as well. Cheto gonna finish up the kill there, and now the couple rounds that looked in favor of the side of status quo now looking pretty much like Zygnus have found an answer back.
And even though we're only at 3-4, this kind of felt like a do or die round for Zygnus. That they had complete control, and it felt like the more rounds in a row they lost, the more it was out of their hands. Just playing this angle right here should have some information onto Jingo. Doesn't quite have it yet. Gonna spot Cheto. Oh my gosh! The cross map with the Type 25. That's not an easy shot to hit. The 1v3 starting to look possible. He's got a player right behind though, Just there for the kill. Zygnus 1 round away from pushing this to a 2-0, and especially the fact that it means they win a search and destroy would make it really tough for status quo to bounce back. But man, oh man, have they looked really good so far. And obviously the battle for a warehouse underway once again, and it's Cheto snipes across Just there as well. Blur all by himself trying to clutch a 1v3. All 4 of his teammates dropping out in the first 20 seconds. Things looking bleak for status quo.
Yeah, looking bleak indeed, and Blur, if he's able to come through with the 1v3 clutch here, maybe the team survives a couple more rounds and pulls together the win. But where we expected Zygnus to struggle the most, man, they have not let up a beat even after a couple of really solid rounds for the side of status quo. Zygnus did not let them build up any momentum, and here we are, possibly the last round of the search and destroy. They might be able to take the 2-0 lead, and with Blur rotating right in front of Just, that's going to close it out. 6-3 win for Zygnus. They come through with a fat W over the #1 team in the North American standings, and now sit 1 game away from closing things out in a possible 3-0 victory.
I knew that Zygnus had built up some momentum tonight, but I didn't know it was going to look like that. Taking a search and destroy off of status quo, who has looked untouchable in the search and destroy, and it wasn't even without Washi like we expected. He got substituted in, and they still absolutely ran that sucker. Absolute domination. Washi did everything he could, but when you got Solo, who's usually a phenomenal search and destroy player, 1 kill, that's just tough to make up for. And Zygnus looking absolutely incredible, maybe peaking at the perfect possible time with stage 5 just around the corner. They only got to win 1 more game in order to move on to the finals. And maybe for the first time ever, we could have a Zygnus versus 11T Grand Finals. I think that would be
That would
first
be
time
wild.
ever. That would be
That
wild.
would be wild.
I know the viewership on that would be absolutely ridiculous.
All right, let's have it then. Yeah, no, definitely a solid game coming through here. Like I said, I don't have a favorite to win this. I would have thought Status Quo would have had a better performance than they have, but my goodness, Zygnus have turned it up in a big way here on quarterfinal, semifinal day. And like you mentioned, they're now just one game away from possibly closing things out against the #1 ranked team as far as the standings go for Mobile Mayhem North America. And it would be really, really wild to see. Obviously, it's a newly implemented factor. For anybody in either of the regions last season, obviously it was hard locked to teams of that region. Coming into this season, it's an opportunity for the #1 and #2 teams of each region to compete in the other region. That's why Zygnus and 11T were both invited back to the North American Mobile Mayhem. It'd be wild for them to get invited back and then come through and take the #1.
Yeah, wait. Does that mean there's no NA teams playing in LATAM Mobile Mayhem?
I would imagine it would go to the first 2 teams that are North American. But
so Tribe and Status Quo. I mean, I feel like at this point, if that's the way that it is, Tribe and Status Quo have secured the spots for LATAM, right?
Assuming that's the way it is. I mean, that would make the most sense to me, but I don't make the rules. I just kind of talk about them sometimes. So.
Okay.
We'll see. Maybe the admins will let us know.
All right.
Maybe B is paying attention.
Maybe. Who knows? Just waiting for a couple players to ready up, and then we're going to hop in to take off domination, and this could be the final game of the matchup. I wasn't expecting a 3-0, but man, Zygnus just looking so strong on every front right here. And an opportunity, I don't know if it's the meta change, I don't know if it's something else, maybe they just ate their Wheaties for breakfast, but they're feeling really good with their Type 25s in hand, and now an opportunity to close things out against the #1 ranked team coming out of the season in Mobile Mayhem North America. Here we go, both teams underway, and it's gonna be Washy Pig in the corner, but Envoy immediately shuts it down. He was so strong in the hard point, looking to do that again. He's already got 2 kills off the start.
Yeah, and we do have a kind of answer from B. That's how we did it this season, but who knows with Worlds coming up, so that could be a factor. The rules may change for next season, but I guess we'll see. To Tio, 3 on the board already. Gonna pick one off. Oh, nope, Kimwack's gonna get that one. Washi gonna get a refrag onto Tio there, tied up 7-7. Neither team has B yet, but this is one of the maps that we saw come through big for Zygnus earlier. And not just this map, but this game mode. It was very, very close, but they came through with the win over Seminole. Can they do it again? Can they close things out 3-0 against Status Quo?
Yep, they hold the AC split for a little bit, and Janik going to be able to win 1 right there, spraying through the smoke, not able to get the kill, but the major assist. Make it 2 right there, 1 player right around the corner. How did he not see him right there? Maybe he's on a different FOV than I am, but Zygnus very, very close to getting that B control, just not quite there, and they're actually losing C right now. They're able to finish off B, but it is going to be Status Quo with the double cap for the time being. This one of the maps that it feels a little bit more sustainable to hold AC as compared to maps like standoff, firing range, whatever it is. K-Bike's gonna go ahead and get picked off, and especially with that top stadium control, just so difficult to get one of those flags back. Tio gonna get picked off once again as Ingenic starting to get on a little bit of a spree right here, and they're able to maintain that AC split. Zygnus no real home flag, and starting to look like Status Quo might be summoning some of their earlier strength.
Yeah, it looks to be the case, and I gotta say, Status Quo need this one. If they lose this one, obviously it's down and out. They lose their place potentially in the finals, which not only is money on the line, but obviously some pretty big bragging rights on the line as well. So we'll have to see. Zygnus, obviously, money and bragging rights on the line here for them, but as well, just more free practice against, more paid practice rather, against some teams that are of a pretty high caliber to help get them ready for Worlds. So It's important matchups here for both sides, but does look like the AB is going to come back in favor of status quo, and the C cap almost comes through, but it is stopped. Triple cap not going to come through. It's going to get cleared out. And now to Tio on B.
Spread. Oh, Washi found the timing right there. It wasn't enough to get the C progress cleared, or to save the C progress, but wow. He's beaming right now. He's mad that they lost that search and destroy. He finds himself at 16-6, Solo at 10-5. He had his fair share of struggles in the search and destroy as well. And the triple cap to close out the half. Wow. This status quo team starting to build up some momentum, and that is going to be tough to stop heading into half two.
Yeah, definitely gonna be the case, and it's only about a 30-point lead. We're sitting at 29 points in favor of status quo, so Zygnus, they absolutely could make the comeback happen here, but status quo not going down without a fight. Kills back and forth between these two teams right now. A and C come through respectively. Not anybody set foot on B yet. Red Missile gonna come down and takes out to Tio. Does look like we have an AC flip coming in for these teams, but Tatio is here, gonna stop the C cap just shy.
Enemy
But the A, it seems, is stopped as well.
And Jenik was there. He's gonna get taken out. I'm convinced that Blur could be 0-23 and he would still be running the AMAX. There is no other gun in the game that he wants to use. He's got 11 kills on the board. Definitely not having a bad game. 11-6 so far, and trying to find somebody as they look for the crossover toward B. He's going to be able to hit that shot. Secures the kill. The B progress starting to tick down, and maybe some unfortunate timing for him. He's trying to back up Jingo over here on the C flag. Zygnus player is going to hop down, but it's going to be a double cap once again for the status quo team, and especially with nobody taking control of B early on. Definitely a good sign for them. He's waiting for them to hop on C, but they're ready for it. The perfect read. They knew exactly where to look to be able to take C back, but still, that's just one flag capped. They got two players already pushing back here for status quo. Looks like they have the opportunity to take that back into control, and it's gonna flip pretty close to the point where Zygnus cannot afford any double caps for status quo. They do finally get control of B right there, but it's going to be a double kill for Ingenic. Not quite able to slide away, and the double cap in play for Zygnus, but you don't feel as comfortable here as you normally would with a double cap, especially with how easy it is to get that AC split, and especially how easy it is to maintain it.
Yeah, I mean, Zygnus are at a point right now where if they hold two, they still win. So we'll have to see if they're able to keep two up. Obviously, as you mentioned, we saw them work the AC cap earlier. It forces your enemies to spawn out weird backside of B. That's a potential that they could employ. It's also a potential that status quo could employ. So we'll have to see. But as the gap closes, it's about 30 points between these two teams right now. Just what the heck?
That must have been a head tap. It had to be.
You would think, but doesn't it normally tell you it's a headshot on chat? No, not in here. Never mind.
And just like that, double cap goes back into play for status quo, and they only have to hold it for a couple seconds. Right now, a lot of pressure on Zygnus. They've got to move quickly. Envoy trying to hold mid-map right here. They get a lot of progress. They're able to secure it. I don't know if it's in time. They might be in triple cap territory already. Envoy hitting beams across the map, but Jingo's gonna stay alive. Oh my gosh! He saves the B cap right there, but they're still in triple cap territory nonetheless. Nate's gonna go across, hit by the concussion. Jingo is there, still not able to win the gunfight. Solo's trying to push down. Right now, if you're status quo, you don't need to push for B, but it would make you feel a lot more comfortable if you were able to get it. An absolute back and forth as both of these teams battle for it. The longer that status quo is able to put that pressure onto B, the more they keep it off of A. So they're going to continue to battle right here. Tatio still has a death machine that he can work with. He's going to pull it out, but not in time. It doesn't matter. They get the B flag back, and that should all but secure the game, especially with Ingenic winning the gunfight right there. Absolute must-have. And that should allow status quo to prolong the matchup and move things to another respawn.
Yeah, status quo coming through to TOMW11 comes through with the pistol whip onto Ingenic, gonna try to push up for the C flag, but Jingo is there, Solo is there as well. They can't get the flags in time, and it's gonna be status quo, as you mentioned, pushing us further into the series. We're now game 4 hardpoint bound. Should status quo come through with a victory there, we might even make it to another search and destroy, but it's gonna be a firing range hardpoint first. And the team that gets American spawn first gonna have a pretty sizable advantage going into that matchup.
Yeah, it's
Looks like, if I'm reading this correctly, it looks like status quo might have strong spawn start for the hardpoint on firing range. They're red side.
I mean, my voice is chalked and we're only halfway through the first best of 5. Oh, you guys are not even going to be able to hear me by the end of tonight's matchups, but it is going to be A-okay. Wow. What a game for Washi right there. 8 flag caps, 31 and 20 came through big for his team, and I don't know why they didn't have him playing in the first respawn. It's not like he's a bad respawn player. Maybe he just wasn't able to make it, whatever it is. Feels like they would have benefited from his presence in the hard point. Hopping into the second one, you feel like it's going to give them a little bit more of an advantage than they had in the first. I mean, if you look at there's nobody positive for Zygnus. Obviously, there's a couple different factors at play, but status quo looking a lot more solid in that one than they did in the first.
To be fair, nobody largely negative on Zygnus either, and that's a large spell of why the game was as close as it was. And if we look down the board, I mean, Envoy -3 to Tio -6, Kimwax even, Just -6, Cheto -1. That's not a huge spread. I mean, a lot of times, you know, we see there's someone in the lobby that's 8 and 24. We didn't have anybody dropping that negative. We had players on the side of status quo not do supremely strong as well. I mean, Jingo played objective like a god. 10 caps, my goodness, came through the strong performance there, but did go a little bit negative, so maybe fed a little bit over to the side of Zygnus. But sometimes when you're playing the objective the way that you are, again, especially with double-digit caps, nobody else in the lobby theoretically even close to that. I mean, we have Justin Cheto at 7. We do have Washi at 8, but 2 more caps on takeoff is a lot of captures on takeoff.
Yeah, definitely a game changer right there. That is going to lead us into our second game of hardpoint. It is going to be on firing range. Keep in mind, the last 2 games of the matchup, if we play them, are going to be on firing range. So that American side going to be what these teams are playing for, and trailer control is going to be ideally for whoever's on weak side the thing that you want mostly to be able to take control of, because not only can you watch over that hard point, but it also gives you easy access to that P2 rotation. For the search and destroy, if we go to it, obviously this is a long angle map that's going to favor snipers a little bit more. The nice thing about Hackney Yard is you can really minimize the impact of snipers by making that A push, especially on the offensive side. We do have all of our players readied up and good to go for game number 4 right here. So status quo staying alive, but they got to keep the heat going. They are going to be on that American side, which, like we said, going to give them that easy access for the P2 rotation. That's exactly where they want to be heading into game 4.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And coming on into it here, status quo have a lot of opportunity to make use of the initial spawns that they get. Like we said, it's going to be a good spawn for P1, P2, and P3. And it's going to be up to Zygnus to try to get that push. You can see Jingo taking a couple flashes there, but they do get the refrags come through. But Kimwax, Cheto, and Envoy cleaning things up. Can they steal the spawns here right off the first push? That would be wild.
And it looks like they're spawn trapping status quo all the way down in American right there. Blur gonna get beamed. They've got somebody in top of tower as well. Solo's the only one alive. He's gonna get shut down as well. It's gonna be Washi hopping down, trying to win it. He forces just out of tower. I'm not sure if that was a worthwhile push, but regardless, Zygnus still gonna be able to get the majority of this initial time on the hill. and they're going to be able to hold control for those P2 spawns. They're in a really good spot right now. My goodness, Zygnus absolutely in the driver's seat. Everybody in the positive. Multiple one-kill players for Status Quo. Set up for P2. This is exactly what they needed to have a shot at closing this out.
Yeah, now you can see Ingenic was looking for the push up, but Envoy in a nasty spot inside of American here, gonna find a kill or another assist. Does get taken down as Jingo finds two, but Tatio climbing in, gonna pick that one up. Just finds a double frag. Tatio finds the second on the solo, and just like that, Zygnus have taken over the map and have strong spawns for the next 2 points and already have built a lead off of that P1, so they're in a great spot right now.
And this is looking very similar to the first of the 11T versus Mayhem matchup, where one team could just not get any type of momentum, and right now that's Status Quo. They've got to find a way to turn this around quickly. They get a little bit of the scrap time right there, but Tatio's going to find a double kill on the inside of the hard point as well. A little bit closer than that matchup, but for the most part, it seems like Zygnus just on point with the rotations, winning the gunfights. Right now looking Ingenic 2-7. He's got to be able to pull that KD up. Tatio absolutely frying 12-6. Double positive with the most kills in the entire game right here. Looking to make that push over toward trailers. Some hit markers on a player entering in. Zygnus in complete control on P3 as well.
Hunter-killer drone deployed.
Yeah, as to be expected with the spawn point that they have, but we do have a good rotation coming out of the side of Status Quo right now, but they're not able to win at the gunfights. They lose out on the backside of trailer there, and they're going to lose the advantage that they had. Does look like they still get the respawns, but yeah, players from Zygnus set up inside and racking up a ton of score, and with Zygnus having this laundry/jungle side respawn, they're actually going to be in a good position for P4. Now is the time where if you had P3 spawn control, you start pushing a little bit further in. You get ready for that P4, and unfortunately that just hasn't been doable for the side of Status Quo. As you can see on the board right now, it's 107 points available for the side of Zygnus, and they end up closing it out at 111. Only 39 points to go for them. And they're in a good spot for P4 as well. Look at the respawn that they currently have here at Laundry. Even with Cheto just now respawning, he gets that Laundry control. But it's actually a big break for Status Quo. They finally clutch up and win themselves a couple gunfights that could be a key factor.
Yeah, we had 3 Zygnus players in double digits before we had 1 there for Status Quo, but push up to top side, gonna force Status Quo to second guess themselves a little bit, trying to at least figure out, and just like that, Zygnus finds a 3-piece right there. Jingo's trying to clear everything out by himself, but one man can only do so much, and right now especially Cheto got the death machine. He's got a Goliath to work with as well. Pre-fires that corner. Blur taken out. Washi trying to chow, not gonna win that one, and Ingenic finally shuts it down. But man, kill after kill going in for this Zygnus team, dominating the map. It just hasn't looked close all the way through. Everybody in the negative for this Status Quo roster, and it's going to take a miracle for them to pull this back. Zygnus got P1 control again. The Goliath going to come in, and there's no options for Status Quo. The #1 ranked team coming into this, it's not going to matter. They've got point control, but they've only got 1 second that they can give up. Shut down, Goliath on the way. Zygnus closes it out in 4. What a day out of them.
Yeah, this has been a great showing, not just for Zygnus, but overall for the North American competitive scene. I think you hit it nail on the head earlier. I want to reference your tweet where you were mentioning, man, you know, today is the first time we've really felt like anybody could go all the way. And just to put that into perspective for maybe anybody that joined us a little bit late here, Zygnus played off against Seminole in the first match, the #4 versus the #6 seed. Great series. If you missed it, go rewatch it. It came down to the wire. Zygnus ended up coming through with like a 6-point victory in the domination. And that's against the #6 seed. that they almost lost to. They come through up against the number 1 seed of Status Quo. They pick up the 3-1 victory in the best of 5. Had some really, really solid games along the way, but it's not over till it's over, and Zygnus have ridden this train the whole way. They've had some close matchups, but they've definitely pulled through, and they've locked themselves a spot in the finals. And now, all that's really left to decide is who they're going to play off against on Thursday. And that's going to be our next matchup, which is going to be 11T versus Tribe. But before we get into that, I do want to break down a little bit about this game. And, you know, Status Quo, by all means, should have had a better performance here. They spawned in on the strong side with spawns for P1, P2, and for P3 all in one go, just because that's the way the hardpoint layout works on this map. They lost the gunfight early, and Zygnus pushed that advantage. They were able to get control of those spawns, and as a result, they were able to have a really good P1, P2, and P3. And then as we got set up for P4, we did have a big break come through for the side of Status Quo. But unfortunately, it was just a little bit too far. I think Coach Zim from NYSL had described basically the same style as this map when he described Hackney Yard, saying your main goal, is, if you have bad spawns, is to not get rolled on P1 and P2 and just to kind of keep the enemy team from getting points. And unfortunately, Status Quo weren't able to capitalize on that. They weren't winning enough of their gunfights, and Zygnus really just rolled on through. And while the domination, again, I was mentioning, we don't have a lot of players that are hugely negative, even though they are negative. This is a totally different factor. I mean, Blur coming through 12 and 19 is -7. Jingo, -5, not too bad. You get down into Washi, -9. And Genic, -13. And Solo, another -9. And you're just not going to maintain spawns. You're not going to maintain hill control if you're losing that many gunfights.
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't expecting that one to end that early, let alone at the hands of a Zygnus win, especially with the way that Status Quo has played all season. Number 1 seed coming into this.
Yo, this is why I'm not a gambling man. I told you earlier, if I was a gambling man, I'd bet on Status Quo all day long.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I don't bet, because exactly this reason here.
I replied to the Mobile Mayhem tweet saying, yeah, I have no idea who's going to make the finals. That most of the replies were, yeah, I think Status Quo is going to make the finals, but I don't know if Tribe is. And now Status Quo is not even in the finals. So at this point, it could be an all Latin American finals. We'll just have to wait and see if Tribe can come through and find a way to represent North America right here against an 11T team that looked, especially in the respawns, just untouchable against Mayhem, especially if you go back to the hard point. What was it, like a 100 to 10 at one point or something? And that was on a small map standoff, very similar to Summit, obviously very different play styles. But if Tribe's going to find a way to win off the start right here, they got to come out guns blazing. That's something they're very capable of doing. We've seen them do it many times in the respawns. We've talked about their struggles in Search and Destroy before, but they've found a way to solidify that. I don't know if it's going to be enough to take the Search and Destroys off of an 11T team with the talent like we have out of Zy. More than likely going to depend on whether or not Bolu's able to land some snipes, and he's been able to do so throughout the season, but this is a very different level he's going to have to do it at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad we've had such a fantastic performance coming out of these guys here today, and we had some really, really good games. So obviously, Seminole and Status Quo are down and out. But big shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for coming through and performing throughout the season. Hope to see you guys return for future seasons as well. But Zygnus, they come through on the top of the first half of the bracket. And as we mentioned, it's now up to Tribe to secure North America a spot in the finals. If not, the 2 outside invited teams could be competing for the North American finals, and that would just look, again, I'm all for cheering for action over picking a favorite team or anything like that. But it would feel pretty bad if no North American team made it into the finals.
I'll take a look at the maps and bans before hopping into this. Tribe banning the Annihilator, and Takeoff 11T banning Hackney Yard and Sparrow. That does mean that we have Crossfire in play, and just our luck, it's going to be Crossfire Domination that we get to play. So my favorite map mode combo, you guys all know how much I love that one. Summit hardpoint for game number 1, standoff search and destroy for game 2. Like I mentioned, crossfire domination. If we go to a game 4, firing range hardpoint. If we go to a game 5, okay, we have 2 standoff search and destroys that could potentially happen in this one. Don't see that very often, but it's all RNG, so you never know.
To be fair, we do only have best of 5s on like the last 2 days of the season, so
Yep.
don't see double search and destroys very often in the first place. But obviously, this could be a good one. Tribe have had their ups and downs all seasons long, just like many of the teams here in the league. But obviously, they're a team you can never count out on game day, so we'll have to see if they bring it to the table here. They've got a incredible opponent in the likes of 11T, who. Again, this is a team that, you know, the last couple seasons that we were able to cast them, Bobby, leading up to this one, they were all riding on the search and destroy. Their hardpoint, not very good at all. No disrespect. Their domination, okay. But their search and destroy was great. And this season, it's a totally different lineup for them. They've got half of the team is a new roster, and they have stepped up their respawns in a big way. So Tribe typically going to be looked at as a strong respawn team, but a weak search team. They've got big competition in this 11T lineup because 11T can bring it in all modes. So we will see as this game goes on. But again, I don't want to root for a team, but I really want to root for North America having a final spot for their own region. You know, it's.
Yep. It's I've seen a number of teams from different losing teams come into chat and talk about their team's ability to struggle with the meta changes, and obviously that is a factor. So I'm curious moving forward how that will play into things. Obviously, a lot of teams have become very dependent on the MX9, and the MX9, I would say, still viable in the close range, but just nowhere near as dominant as it was previously. And that's the way that it should be. There shouldn't be one X Factor gun that's going to guaranteed win you every single one of the matchups. And coming into the season, a lot of people said, oh, the Holger didn't get a nerf, everybody's going to spam the Holger. But in these matchups, we've seen a pretty good variety. We've seen a lot of Type 25s, we've seen some Holgers, we've seen some M13s, we've seen some MX9s, Fenix, QQ9s.
We've seen some MSMCs.
We haven't seen this much variety as far as meta goes in a long time, and part of
It
that
didn't
probably
work, but we
attributed
saw
to the fact
GKS earlier.
it's probably attributed to the fact that the balance changes happened earlier today. But regardless, I'm excited to see the way the rest of Mobile Mayhem plays out, and Stage 5 as well. Definitely, the more variety, the better. But these two teams ready to hop into things here on Summit Hardpoint.
Yeah, definitely been a solid day for North American Mobile Mayhem. I gotta say, this has been probably the most excited I've been for Mobile Mayhem, and I'm always excited for Mobile Mayhem, you know. But today has kept me on the edge of my seat all day long, and right now, it's a big P1 coming through for the side of 11T Band, able to pick up one onto Jason. Finds his second onto Pallone, and that's a big break for Tribe. Can they maintain it, though? The reason, in my opinion, that P1 is so hard to hold is if you do get the top side respawns, you have high ground advantage, and if you get the low side respawns, chances are your team is using a head glitch to try to defend against top side, and you can typically make that rotation in from behind. So just too many angles to have to cover, and you know, this is about as much as you expect out of a balanced set of hardpoint between two teams on Summit, and that's going to be a basically dead even game coming out of P1.
Yep, this is about as close as you can get. Jason holding down top side, QQ9 in hand, be able to win another one right there, pre-firing away. Maybe heard some audio that wasn't actually there. Nobody on the hard point right now. Unfortunate timing for Jason right there. Slides the corner, wins the gunfight anyway. Marshy going to be able to trade out right there. And once again, nobody on the hard point, which you don't typically see a whole lot for P2. Finally, it is going to be Marshy shut down on the top side. And once again, very back and forth in the score, changing leads a number of times. Bolu with a crucial gunfight on the bottom side. Type 25 in hand, and Looking like this is a gun that we're probably not going to see the end of anytime soon. Obviously, nostalgic for a lot of people as well, and those grab spikes going to come through big for 11T as they close the gap that had started to build right there. Yuhi going to be able to find one, and now trying to get control here on P3. 11D player or Tribe players closing in from multiple sides. Band going to be able to win a big gunfight right there. And 11T close to tying things up, but spawn control in favor of Tribe.
Yeah, absolutely a solid game coming through already. We're moving on into P3, and there's only a 2-point difference between these two teams. And 11T, they're on the front looking to make a break, but they do have 2 players making their rotations on through the back. That's going to be Wiru, and it was Yuhi looking for those anchored spawns. But it's going to be Envy and Parrish coming through, winning out on those gunfights. And now Zy making rotation up. Does find one. He's looking for 2 now. Quick fix coming through. Going to keep him alive, but you can't doubt the Marshy movement comes through. And pulls together a gunfight win there. And Tribe have had an incredibly solid P3. If you're 11T, get set up for P4. P3 is a loss to you. If you fight over it, you're wasting time. And probably giving advantage to Tribe at that point. And sure enough, they do fall back. And you can see Yuhi playing deep in the back, looking to anchor those spawns. And I think Palone played that perfectly. He got a pick, was looking for the death to give him a respawn, but how the heck did Palone get horrible spawn?
Yeah.
Tribe were still in mid-building.
Yeah, Palone got multiple bad spawns right there, and just like that, Tribe's in control once again, and that's 3 in the feed for them. Marshy holding down the back spawns right there. We're finally going to be able to pick him out, but the gap has really started to build right here. It was close off the start, but Envy winning another one from the bottom side. Raven at 2 and 13 right now, and that's consisting of the majority of the gap, to be honest with you. Like, you can see most of his teammates keeping things relatively close, but it's tough to make up for a gap that big. Palone pulls out the MX-9, and that is why the MX-9 is still viable. Still able to 4-tap at close range, which gives it a pretty quick time to kill. A whole lot of damage right there, but 11T able to pick up scrap time, and at this point they can't give up scrap time at any point. Parrish still finds a way to win the gunfight on the inside of the hard point, and not even letting them get that small amount of scrap time that was there. Bolu and a Goliath, I don't see any way that 11T can bring this one back unless they get a really big operator usage, able to take out Bolu right here. He's tucked away in a corner. Teammates for 11T getting picked out right here in only a matter of time at this point. He's still got HP to work with as well. The contest goes in for 11T, but Bolu, another shutdown, make it 2. And it looks like Tribe going to be able to take game 1 relatively easily, barring a miracle from 11T.
Yeah, a miracle with 1 point to go just ain't going to happen. This one's over. Tribe are going to be the winner of the hard point. It's just a matter of time. And, dude, for a while there, I was really starting to appreciate the COD Mobile spawns, having played Vanguard, because my goodness, the hardpoint spawns in Vanguard are terrible. You can spawn in the sights of somebody shooting your teammate, and it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But having watched this summit, my god, these are also very rough to deal with, because 11T made so many really good rotations, and the game just didn't give them the spawns they deserved, if that makes sense. Like, again, we had 2 players in the deepest deep part of P4 for the side of 11T. We had 4 players of Tribe in mid building and 1 player of Tribe still on P3. Palone died and got the farthest back P3 spawn you can possibly have. And that just doesn't make sense to me. So they essentially played P4 down a player. It allowed Tribe to make an early break, and they were able to capitalize really big off that, because then the game spawns worked, and after 11T lost their fight on P4, they all spawned mid-building. But, you know, again, it just... the spawns on Summit are... They needed something. They did need a change from the previous system. but they are just too sporadic right now. It's kind of nuts to watch.
Yeah, definitely could use some changes to make it a little bit more competitive. Big game coming out of Bolu. Double positive and a minute 43 on the hill. Just doing it all for his team right there. And looking over at 11T, just nobody able to really get a foothold. Like you said, when spawns are like that, it does make it so much more difficult, not only to get that objective time, but also to slay out, because you're on the outside trying to make entry in. People that are already on the inside know where they need to ADS, and that just gives them an advantage in the gunfight. So we'll see if 11T can bounce back, and we expect for them to be the stronger search and destroy team. Tribe has had their fair share of struggles in the search and destroy. They don't have Chelds. A lot of pressure on Bolu to hit snipes right here. We'll see if he can make it happen as we get ready to head into standoff search and destroy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, Tribe, while they have historically struggled with search and destroy, I gotta say this season has been a big turnaround for them. Even though they haven't always found search and destroy success, they do look quite a bit better in search and destroy, and there's still a pretty large possibility that they could come through with the win here and maybe put 11T at a disadvantage. I mean, you know, all through stage 4, we were looking, or stage 4. We were looking at, you know, Mayhem were pretty much the set in stone best search and destroy team in North America, and Tribe had NYSL on the ropes in their Crossfire search map. Obviously, we had that big clutch from Little B that brought the game back in their favor, but Tribe for seasons now have stepped up their search and destroy game, getting better little by little, and I actually think they're in a really solid spot for this matchup, and they could take a victory over 11T if 11T doesn't bring their best to the table here.
Without a doubt. We got everybody ready to go. Where's got an ICR out? I gotta imagine, yeah, it swaps it for the Type 25 right there. It's going to be 11T on offense off the start right here. And bomb is going to get left in spawn, and that's not a great sign. So somebody should probably go grab that. 3 people turn around to grab it at the same time, and as far as team coordination goes, not a great sign for 11T right here. We'll see if they can turn things around. No real info right now. No control over the map. As Tribe playing things pretty passive. They don't have too great of map control right now, but Marshy's going to be able to make his way all the way up into Delhi right here, and that's going to make things a little bit more difficult as they've got nobody checking back alley. Marshy getting some information finally, doing some damage as well, and seems like 11T once again really banking on their sniper finding a first blood.
Yeah, definitely looking for it, and we did see a couple of these players actually opt to pull out a sniper earlier. Yuhi, I feel like going to be in the same boat as we saw Blur be in earlier, where Yuhi opted to use the AMAX for whatever reason. I don't really understand, but we'll see if he's able to make it work out. Standoff, probably one of the more usable maps on it, just because there are a couple long angles that you can cover. But if we look, I mean, it's not a long angle he's covering. You know, this is like, bro, an MX-9 would do you wonders right here. But you know, it is definitely hard to say. We did get first blood for Tribe, but Yuhi able to get a refrag onto Bolu. Weru finds Envy. Weru finds Band. Things starting to turn around. Yuhi gets the one onto Marshy. It's now a 3 versus 1. Make it a 2v1. Can Parrish clutch it up? I just don't know if he's in a position to do so. And with the AMAX, Yuhi finds 3 in the first round.
Ready up.
He heard you talking. He heard you doubt his AMAX decisions, and he said, "This is why I'm using the AMAX."
He heard you talking crap about the AMAX when Blur was using it earlier, and he was like,
"Okay, buddy."
He's like, you know what? Blur's not the kind of man that can handle the AMAX. I'm gonna show you guys what's up.
Well, he heard you, and he said, "I'm not using the AMAX anymore. I'm gonna switch to the DOQ instead."
Yeah, what up? He found 3 in the first round. What is this?
I'm
so confused.
I don't really know what the logic behind that was, but He's the one getting the kills, so I guess we'll trust his decision making right there. Bomb in the hands of Wiru. And once again, no real map control for 11T. Bolu's got the sniper in hand, but it's going to be Yuhi. And it turns out he has just got the Midas touch on every weapon that he picks up. So he's going to be able to find another one right there. That's the only player we need to be watching. I don't know why I'm spectating anybody else. He's got 5 kills through a round and a half of search and destroy right here. No try player wants to peek the back angle, and I take it back. Ban said, I'll do it. I'll do it myself, and he's going to be able to find the pick. And that's going to be top fragger out of the equation for 11T, but players pushing up. We're getting the plant right there. Nearly a wall bang for Ban, but now the clock ticks. Envy, Marshy still alive. Marshy's going to find 1, see if he can make it 2 right here. And players dwindling. It's all on to Zai right here. 2 players around the corner, needs to hit a headless shot. Not going to happen. Ban shuts him down. Fennec in hand. Tribe bounces back to tie things up 1-1.
Tribe coming through, big answering back. They pick up around there after Yuhi was able to find a couple big opening picks, and clearly Bobby has not learned the power of the caster curse. If someone's fragging out, you never spectate them because they are guaranteed to die. But it's definitely a solid sign of life from Tribe there. Obviously they're up because they won on the hard point, and now Bolu pushing up, looking for 1 on to Yuhi. Takes a couple shots himself. In fact, Palone gonna come through and picks up the kill there. First blood gonna be in favor of 11T.
And Yuhi decided that 2 kills with the DOQ was not enough, so he's gonna go ahead and switch back to his AMAX right here, and that will be a sufficient amount of kills. He's gonna take a whole lot of damage from Marshy right there, forced to back up. Marshy, usually an SMG primary, so I'm a little bit surprised to see him using the M13, but it's an incredibly effective option. I'm not sure that the 60 round is the right choice for S&D, especially given the range boost that you get out of the 40 round, but you know what? To each his own, and he's going to play with what's most comfortable for him. Bolu going to get picked for first blood. Jason still trying to find his first kill of the game, regardless. His team tied up 1-1. Ban still holding backside of A right here. No wall bangs going to go through for Jason. This is the very map where he landed a 20 bomb early on and really didn't have a ton of kills early on in that 30 bomb, but bounced back in a big way. Still no plant. Wiru finally going to make his way on up. Plant probably going to come in momentarily.
Yeah, looking to be the case. Parrish able to get a refrag, but immediately gets taken down by Zai. Delily finds Raven, but Zai finds another onto Envy. Banned with the refrag. Kills coming through left and right. Palone rotates on behind Marshy. Now it's a 2 versus 1. Bomb is down. Banned knows it. Was looking for the rotation, but rotates right over into the super buff Type 25, and that's going to be a kill going over to the side of 11T to secure the round.
And that's just, oh man, he was so close to being in a spot where he could play time, but unfortunately for him, getting pinched from both angles, he had no way to escape from the A side. And another round gonna go in for 11T right there. We're bomb in hand, comfortable with that Type 25 for the time being. Yuhi had 5 kills off the start, not quite maintaining that momentum, but we'll take another look at him as he just seems dead set on non-stop rotating back and forth between the AMAX and the DLQ. So following the 0 kill round with AMAX, he said, I'm gonna go ahead and switch back and play in some very, very off angles, but opportunity for him to find a pick right there. He's gonna get absolutely beamed by Marshy right there.
Oh my goodness.
Didn't even have time to see him before he was already dead. Raven hitting some shots across, but Marshy able to get away. Hit him with the movement real quick, and that's going to leave Tribe with the man advantage as bomb goes down.
Europe may have Miney, but North America has Marshy, and they only have 3 kills on the board, but it was a keen pick that Tribe definitely needed, especially with the bomb plant coming through from the side of 11T. Does pick up a major assist there, but Envy going to pick out Raven out of the top window. Looking for a head of Wiru above the bomb. Hops up, going to find it on a nasty head glitch. And now it's just Jason, aka Zy, left at a 1 versus 4. Not gonna happen. Parrish getting the defuse. Tribe once again tie things up.
All right, Bolu with a little bit of body shooting right there. I'm not sure if that's what I would do after I got my first kill of Search and Destroy 4 rounds in, but you know what? If he's feeling it, go for it. Raven, still yet to find a kill, so I guess Bolu not the last one. Just like that, we are tied up 2-2 right here, and definitely looking to be a very back and forth Search and Destroy once again. You can see the 11D players pushing up for that mid-map control, trying to make their way up to tank. Don't want to get sniped right here. And
oh my god, Marshy. What on earth was that? Holy crap.
If I had
the reaction time was nuts.
If I had to guess, it's the fact that the M13's a freaking beam, and by the end of the season, I would guess probably 80% of our lobby, or not the end of the season, end of next season, if we don't have any buffs and nerfs, 80% of lobbies, no, not 80%. A lot more people are going to be using the M13, but people just don't quite understand how good it is so far. So,
okay, to be fair, the M13 is way better if you have the skin, right? Because it gives you that red dot.
It's just as good. Yeah, like, see that? Marshy's going to get that kill regardless of the skin. Yes, it might look a little bit prettier if you have the skin, but I did an entire stream with the default M13, and it's just as ridiculous of a gun. Marshy's got 7 kills. He's doing it all himself. 7-2. M13 supremacy. Tribe takes the lead 3-2.
And for the first time, Tribe have the lead, and now round 6 starts. We're going to switch sides. It's now going to be Tribe on the offense. Can they continue to make it work? And maybe just a speed class for Marshy, but he's pulled out the Type 25.
I don't know why you do that when you're having that much success. Obviously, you have your team flip inside, so maybe he's planning to play the short angles a little bit more, but it definitely didn't pay off. He is immediately shut down by Palan. Raven is yet to find a kill, which, given his success throughout the majority of the season, is very surprising to see, but 0-5 off the start.
He only dropped 1 in the Search and Destroy earlier as well, so
yeah,
could be just an off day for Search for him. The only thing I can justify for Marshy pulling out the Type 25 is going to be, he heard us talking about the M13 and he was like, nope, my name is Marshy, I don't need the M13. As soon as we said the M13 is good, he was like, nope, not using it.
And as we're talking about it, Raven finds his first kill, so no longer with the goose egg. Bolu with only 1 kill on the board as well, and there's a whole lot of 11D players left to deal with the 2 remaining Tribe players. Able to do a little damage to Jason, but not enough to take him out. Parrish and Envy trying to find something. Parrish or Envy hitting beams with the MX or the M13. Gosh, there's so many M guns, I can't get them all straight. Regardless, bomb the hands of Envy. Not a whole lot of time to work with. He's all by himself in a 1v5. Finds UG right there, but not enough to get the kill. And with that information given away, that should be enough for 11T to close out the round, I thought. There it is, Palan. Final kill to tie us up at 3-3.
It's not over yet. Ready up.
Yeah, definitely coming through with a big performance as they tie things back up. And I gotta say, I'm glad our quarterfinals day is looking as good as it has been. Every single one of these matchups has been incredibly solid. We haven't seen a single full sweep yet, and right now it's looking like that may not be the case for this matchup as well if 11T are able to pull together a win here.
Yeah, this is the traditional Tribe push that we're a little more accustomed to see, where you chuck all the utility at the bomb site, send all your players, hope it pays off, and it did. Bomb's gonna go down on A, but now no utility left to defend. Jason getting spotted right there, and that's the opening pick onto Envy they needed. Yuhi gonna get traded out. 3 players remain for each team. Raven, I don't know how Raven didn't see Marshy right there. That should have been clear as day. But the Tribe players getting picked 1 by 1. Huge kill for Parrish as they're losing momentum. Time's dwindling. Bolu's there on a head glitch. That's not going to be easy to deal with. Not enough time, it seems like. And even though they get the kill right there, not enough time for the defuse. The fast push for Tribe pays off. as they take another round and regain the lead.
Yep, Tribe once again have the lead 4-3. Match obviously not over even if they win here. This is a best of 5 for anybody joining us late. So kind of keep that in mind. We're at least going to have a domination. And obviously the search and destroy not over yet either. And we did see some good use from Donley earlier in Europe with the Thumper, but doesn't look like Parrish going to find anything to connect and pulls the Holger back out now. Tribe found a couple opening picks. Now with the bomb plant, they have the player advantage as well as the time in their favor.
Yep. Raven, not a great game so far. A little bit stronger in the second half, but Marshy has decided he's done dealing with the nonsense. He's going to pull the M13 back out. Old two-piece right there before he gets traded, but Raven all alone. 2 Tribe players peeking that statue area. They're 1 game away from closing out the search and destroy that we've typically come to know as their weakest game mode. A lot of improvement for them. And now on the offensive side, they've got an opportunity to start this series out in a 2-0. And that would be absolutely huge for them, meaning they only need 1 more to move on to the finals.
Couple more Thumper shots come out from Parrish, but not going to find anything out of it. I'll be interested to see if that's something he continues to use in the future. I believe the plan for Stage 5 is to play on this current update, so obviously he'll have a bit of time between now and then. It is going to be first blood coming through for 11T, and my goodness, did they need that, because they need to find 3 rounds in a row on this search and destroy, and you can see right now, they're really trying to play for picks, and that might end up biting them a little bit as they are going to give a free plant over to the side of Tribe, and Bolu able to plant it in a very aggressive spot, but Wiru gets the 6th sense, pushes up, gets the kill, the 1-for-1 trade, absolutely in their favor to deny that bomb plant. And Raven even makes it out alive on 1 HP. Parrish gonna hit a shot on Paloma, gets turned on. That's huge for 11T.
Ooh, Ban feeling aggressive right there. Pre-fire does not pay off. Yuhi, early trade. Envy all alone. Bombs down. I don't know if he can see bomb. He's going to be able to get a little information on the player that wants to defuse, but turns right there. Finds 1, trying to make it 2. Can't find Yuhi, and with that information, it's going to make it that much more difficult if they double shell. Not going to be easy for him. Jason hits the shots to MW11. It's Day's favorite gun in any Call of Duty ever. 11T staying alive for the time being. They move things to 5-4.
Yep. Coming through with a solid one. 2 more rounds for 11T to tie up the series, but Tribe obviously not going to make it easy. That was not a comfortable round win for the side of 11T. Parrish, a couple grenades coming out. Thumper coming out again, still not finding a single hit marker. Maybe he'll use it a little bit more conservatively next time. In fact, is he running danger close? No, he is not.
And it's gonna be bomb in the hands of Bolu going down over on the A side. A little surprised we haven't seen any like attempts to go over to the B side. Obviously the A side's the easier one to go to, but usually you'll see a team maybe throw a B look at them. Neither one of these teams has come anywhere close to the B side on the offensive side. Envy gonna take a lot of damage, but the kill not gonna go through for Yuhi. 11T down a player with only 20 seconds. Looking pretty bleak in regards to their hopes of closing this one out. It's like I say it. 2-piece goes in, Bolu trades, Parrish trades, Yuhi finds 1, but a 2v2 with only 7 seconds.
That's gonna be it.
Not enough. Time is too low right now, and Tribe Gaming in their weakest game mode gonna be able to take out 11T. Gives them the 2-0 lead and the opportunity to maybe close this out in a 3-0.
Yeah, Tribe in a good spot right now. Even if they weren't able to secure the domination, they have a bit of cushion. They're clearly going to try to close it out in 3. But now it's a lot of pressure on 11T. And as you mentioned earlier, quite often moving into the domination, teams that come through with a good search and destroy performance can really ride that momentum out, and that's what we're going to be looking for out of the side of Tribe. And again, I don't necessarily want to root for one team or another, but it would seem fitting for Tribe to win so that North America can have a final spot for one of their home teams in their home region. So we'll see. Tribe looking poised to be able to do it, but 11T have made both of these games very, very close.
Yeah, it's definitely not been a blowout on any end. Right now, 11T, who looked strong against Mayhem, found a way to push things, or not push things, to win in the game 4 and do it pretty convincingly. We'll see if they can do that against a Tribe team that's been in control for the majority of the games. Obviously, this is a best of 5, and it's going to be Crossfire Dom, so a lot of this probably going to come down to who gets strong side in the second half, but we've seen teams either be able to snowball to the point where they're able to win even from the weak side, or potentially make the flip for that C side control. So we'll have to wait until we get into that matchup to see who's going to have that strong side in the second half. But yeah, not my favorite domination map.
Am I reading this correctly? Did 11T actually outfrag Tribe?
That's possible.
+2, +1, +5, 0, 1. 11T had one more kill than Tribe did.
Sometimes
And
that's
Tribe
the
won.
way that it goes.
Yeah, if you play the objective right, there were a couple rounds obviously that we came through, and obviously there were players alive, and the defuse didn't happen, but very, very close game as far as the kills go, and a lot of that boils down into a couple of the rounds being 1v1s, 2v2 endings. But Tribe, as we've obviously mentioned a couple times, they have a 2-0 lead now, so if they win the domination, they could close things out in 3. But man, we've got to see 11T come through here with some sort of stable ground, because we've had great series all night, and while this has still been a good series because of how good the hardpoint and the domination were, I don't want to see it over in 3. I would like to see 11T at least make it to a game 4.
Unfortunately, it's not a good sign for 11T off the start, because Tribe is going to have strong side in the second half, and that is the ideal scenario.
To be fair,
So
we've actually seen 11T favor A side on this map. Every
Really?
single time I see them play, all season long, they've actually played for the A side on this map and won doing so. So that's why it's so rough for me to call here at the end. Now, obviously, Tribe can be a different beast in playoff time, but
Enemy taking B.
well, Band has crept his way through to that C side and now has the opportunity to actually go for the triple cap right here. They get B early. Yuhi on the inside of that bottom broken building, and just like that, Tribe making their way on over to C. If they can get BC early, could be completely chalk for 11T. They're going to be able to go ahead and clear off C right here. So they're staying alive for right now, but one player, Yuhi, dropping on down a beautiful 2-piece.
We've taken the lead.
Keeping his team in the position they need to be. Right now, they've got the AC flip and actually going for the triple cap right here, which is just weird. Right now, if you're... you said they favor A side sometimes?
yeah.
Okay, well, maybe they want to give up C control. I mean, obviously, you don't ever want to give up control. Marshy running his circles for long enough to be able to hold C right there, and Pred missile in the sky, not going to be able to find a kill. We see AB go in control for 11T, and that may be exactly where they want to be, but right now, a lot of Tribe players making their way up to B, and that should be an easy B cap for them.
Yeah, it looks to be the case, and again, North America, we typically see favor C side, and have actually criticized this map quite a bit for how dominant C side is, but like I said, a couple times in the past, we've seen 11T come onto this map for domination, and straight haul booty to push for that A flag, so I'm not entirely sure. I even in those instances where they won with that kind of play, did not necessarily agree. It felt like practicing bad habits to me. And right now, it's a very close game, but as you mentioned, Tribe gonna have their favorable spawn in the second half, that C side. And it looking like right now they're going to go into it with the lead as well. So that could be rough for 11T. This might be the first 3-0 we've seen all night.
Yeah, I know you said they favor the A side, but that just doesn't seem like the right move, especially with the way things have gone.
Like I said, even when I saw him do it before, it felt like practicing bad habits. It did not. It worked out, but
a lot of streaks, a lot of operators going in for Tribe, and they seem to have this behold perfected from the C side, so it looks like the preferred strategy for 11T, maybe not the best strategy. Marshy making his push all the way up through that broken building. 11T does get a big feed right there, and they're going to make the push, but a little bit late in the half to go for that B cap. It looks like they are going to be able to get it right here, but with Tribe already at 73 seconds, not going to be able to benefit too much off the back of it. And it is going to be Tribe entering the half and heading into strong side in the second half as well with the lead.
Yeah, looking to be the case right now, and I guess 11T, again, maybe have their favorable spawn off the start, but I just don't see it working against a team like Tribe, a team that capitalizes so heavily on this map, especially with that C-side control. We've obviously seen 11T make a couple breaks A-side and get a B cap. It just didn't happen early enough, and they weren't able to maintain it enough in the first half. And at this point, Tribe, obviously, the earlier they can get B, the better, but more importantly, the longer B goes without being in favor of 11T, it is a benefit to Tribe through and through. Tribe could win this entire half without capturing B a single time, as long as they prevent 11T from getting it long enough.
And we're gonna get hit by the Pred missile from Bolu, but some progress going in. Parrish, 15 kills on the board, tries to find something, but a nade to the face. And somehow 11T able to at least keep B clear, and even some progress in their favor. A lot of players pushing in for them. Parrish headshot with the Holger, going to be able to clear off the one player there, trying to get control. And now with Marshy in the top side of the B building, it looks like there should be enough Tribe players in position to go ahead and get that control. But the wallbang, Death Machine Holger able to do the job, at least for now. Weru making the push on up with the Death Machine as well, and clears all the Tribe players off. Band-nading over top, and I think Weru actually died to a concussion nade right there. So that, especially when you got Death Machine in hand, not ideal scenario. Tribe back in place to almost be able to get that control. Somehow this far into the half, nobody able to get B, and somehow 11T, even from what we consider to be weak side, able to get a whole lot of players pushed up. They get the B control initially.
Dude, I don't understand. Every team I know avoids A like the plague on this map, except 11T, and somehow they find ways to make it work. I don't understand, but hey, they're the pro players, and I'm just sitting here talking with my buddy about some COD mobile games. But Tribe, they do come through with a retake on B very, very quickly. We're not triple cap territory, but we are starting to get close. So that is something 11T have to be keeping in mind. We do have the Goliath in on B as well, and I think that might be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I don't know if 11T are going to be able to get control of this in time. We're realistically like 10 or 15 seconds out of triple cap territory, not even, probably under 10 at this point, and not looking like there's a lot of hope on the board.
And it looks like Marshy's been watching a good amount of Bobby Play streams, because he is absolutely putting this M13 to work. He's on a 6 spree, making a 7. He's got a Pred missile ready to go. He's got a Tempest to work with. That's going to be one shut down. See if he can make it 2. Nobody pushes right there. Seemed like they had the information, but that's going to be another free kill for Marshy. Nearly had a double. He's got a sentry gun to work with, and not enough time, barring a triple cap, for 11T to come back in this. So despite their big win up against Mayhem, just not able to pull through against Tribe, giving up seaside control in the first half did not pay off for them, and Tribe Gaming comes through with our first sweep of the night. They'll be moving on to the finals against their rivals Zygnus.
At least, even though it was a 3-0 sweep, it was 3 really good matches.
Yep.
You did come through Tribe with the 150-117 win here, but we saw a lot of fight out of 11T for that B side. Again, seemingly optingly to choose for the weak side, so continues to puzzle me to this day why they do that, but again, it worked out for them most of the season. Just unfortunately, today is the day that it counted, and Tribe were a little bit too much to overcome. I don't necessarily, again, say that I was like rooting for one team or the other, but I am kind of glad that NA gets a spot in their own finals. And I've told you before, Bobby, I will never, ever, ever get tired of casting Zygnus versus Tribe matchups, and that's what it looks like we have for Thursday.
Yeah, excited to see that. Obviously, we will have our third place matchup as well, which is going to be 11T versus Status Quo. Not really the one that we were expecting to see, but excited to see it regardless. My voice is completely chalked, so I'm going to go ahead and end stream. But those of you who are watching, make sure to show some love to whoever we end up rating. Also, my video for the P90 is going live, so if you want to check that out on YouTube, you can as well. But that's going to be it for the stream. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Catch us back here on Thursday, and we'll see you guys